Chapter 91. Under Yi Shisan's command, everyone suddenly stopped 200 meters in front of the barbarians. Then, more than 50 people, including the Yi Qinghan, took a few steps forward and merged with their battle beasts. Roar! Roar! Woo! Gigi! Phantoms of strange beasts appeared out of thin air in front of the Yi clan disciples. The roars of various beasts resounded throughout the heavens and earth, and then they all entered the bodies of the Yi clan disciples. All kinds of strange tattoos appeared on their foreheads. Yi at hashtag and kill asterisk. The barbarians on the other side obviously recognized the symbol of the Yi family. However, they did not seem to stop moving forward. Instead, they roared and rushed forward even faster. As one of the 5 great clans of the Divine Battle Abode, the Yi clan had probably killed countless barbarian disciples over the thousands of years of Divine Battle Abode battles. When the barbarians saw them, it was as if they had seen their father's murderer. They charged forward with all their might. Yi family members all squat down. Yu family members collective illusion attack. Feng family members, all on your swords, attack the barbarians' eyes. The barbarians rush forward again and close the distance between them to 100 meters. This distance was the effective distance for the Yu family members to attack with illusion. Yi Shisan's expression was calm as he made a prompt decision. Swoosh swoosh. Under Yi Shisan's command, all 50 members of the Yi family squatted down. At the same time, a strange light flashed in the eyes of the Yu family members. She shot straight at the barbarians' eyes at the speed of light. In the blink of an eye, the 50 barbarians in front of them were all hit and were stunned on the spot. Whoosh whoosh. What the Yu family members attacked next was more than 50 different kinds of swords. With a piercing sound, more than 50 swords stabbed into the eyes of the chairs in front of the 50 barbarians. Then, they quickly pulled out and stabbed the other eye before the barbarians could react. Roar! Roar! The first attack was completed. The 50 barbarians in front were all hit, and most of them were blinded. The most ingenious thing was that the Yu family's attack and the Hua family's attack were linked together. This round of attack did not last more than 5 seconds. The 50 people in front were suddenly caught in an illusion. They were stunned on the spot, but they blocked the barbarians from behind. The barbarians at the back charged forward at a high speed and collectively crashed into more than 50 barbarians in front of them. Most of the barbarians in front were blind, so they couldn't tell where they were attacking. So, they attacked in all directions. As a result, the 200 barbarians, who were originally in a neat formation, fell into chaos. There were also many barbarians who fell to the ground with serious injuries from the attacks of their own people. Everyone spread out in a fan shape. The Feng clan will continue to attack with their flying swords. Target the eyes of the barbarians. The Yu clan will continue to attack the barbarians who are preparing to counterattack. Members of the Yi family, release your battle chi and attack indiscriminately. Any commander would seize such a good opportunity. This scene was within Yi Shisan's expectation. Therefore, he immediately ordered a second round of attacks. The second round of attacks clearly caused the barbarians, who were already in a state of chaos, to become even more chaotic. The illusory attack of the Yu family caused the clear-headed barbarians who wanted to counterattack to fall into an illusion and freeze on the spot. The 50 or so long swords that had been hovering above the berserkers were like ghosts. They moved about among the berserkers, and they did not stab anywhere else but their eyes. Moreover, the Yi family's collective battle aura was even more powerful. So much energy gathered at once and then exploded. Even the uninjured barbarians were injured. After several rounds of bombardment, only half of the barbarian team could stand. Roar, the leader of the barbarian emperor, roared in anger when he saw that more than half of his disciples had been killed or injured in a short 2 minutes. He slapped the terrifying muscles on his chest and no longer cared about the barbarians who were still killing each other. He leaped up angrily and rushed toward Yi Qinghan's team like a mad bull. Yi Shisan, you go and block him. And you, cooperate with Feng Ming and get rid of this big guy. Yi Shisan glanced at the barbarian emperor, who was rushing over, and said indifferently. He sent 3 Duke realm experts from the team to intercept him. This barbarian emperor's defense was extremely strong, and he hadn't been injured in the previous rounds of attacks. However, he probably wouldn't be able to escape the attacks of 3 Duke realm experts. After Yi Shisan made the arrangements, he looked at the barbarian team again and found that a small number of uninjured barbarians had begun to scatter in all directions and were madly running away. He quickly ordered, "Not good. They are running. Yi family disciples, charge. Hua family assassins and Feng family swordsmen, quickly assassinate the escaping barbarians." Ah! The barbarian emperor has started to run. Yi Shisan, stop him. Yi Qinghan had been waiting for Yi Shisan's order with his blue dragon dagger in hand. As soon as he heard the order to charge, he charged forward like a bull in heat. The 2 third-level Marshal Yi family disciples who were responsible for protecting him hurriedly followed. If this little ancestor was injured, they would be scolded to death by Yi Shisan. Swoosh! Yi Qinghan did not hesitate and ignored the shouts of the 2 temporary bodyguards behind him. He covered a distance of 100 meters in an instant. Then, the azure dragon dagger gently slashed across the barbarian's neck, which was as hard as iron. A blood-red wound appeared on the barbarian's neck, which was as hard as iron, as if it was a piece of white paper that had been torn apart. Then, a stream of blood gushed out of the wound, as if it was free. Instant kill? The 2 martial realm cultivators behind him were stunned. They widened their eyes and looked at each other. Based on the size of this barbarian, he was probably at least a barbarian commander-level cultivator. Young Master Han could actually kill him in an instant. However, after being stunned for a moment, they realized that Yi Qinghan was like a loach and had actually burrowed into the barbarian group. The 2 of them were shocked and didn't dare to think too much. They circulated their speed battle aura to the maximum, and the long sabers in their hands shone brightly. Brandishing their long sabers, they followed Yi Qinghan into the barbarian group. The group of Yi family disciples behind them were like ferocious tigers descending from the mountain, pouncing into the barbarian flock of lambs. Although based on the size of their bodies, they looked like lambs no matter how one looked at them. The assassins of the Hua family also appeared at the first instant. They joined forces with the swordsmen of the Feng family to intercept the barbarians who were fleeing in all directions. However, it was obvious that these barbarians who were not heavily injured and reacted at the first instant were all experts. Basically, they were at least barbarian generals and barbarian marshals. These barbarians didn't seem to care about the Feng family swordsmen behind them, nor did they look at the Feng family's flying swords whizzing past their heads. They also didn't care about the Hua family assassins who suddenly appeared. They only waved their thick arms randomly to protect their heads. Then they moved in one direction like a giant moving Iron Man. They ran in a frenzy. The flying swords of the Feng family scratched their naked bodies, causing them to bleed profusely. The strange assassination of the Hua family assassins didn't stop them. Their terrifying defense gave them enough capital. They only knew that if they kept running, they would have a chance to survive. It was obvious that the barbarians' seemingly reckless and even somewhat cowardly behavior had successfully made the pursuers of the Feng and Hua families at a loss. After chasing for a few kilometers, they helplessly chose to give up. According to the previous plan, the pursuit couldn't exceed a predetermined distance. Otherwise, it would easily lead to an ambush. After killing a few unlucky barbarians, the disciples of the Feng and Hua families quickly returned to defend. Yi 17, Aunt Yu, and Feng Ming also encountered the same problem. At the beginning, the barbarian emperor of the small group of barbarians madly rushed toward their camp. Under the command of Yi 13th, the 3 of them quickly arranged themselves in a formation, ready to make this big guy stay here. However, this seemingly silly big guy suddenly changed direction halfway. His speed suddenly increased, and he began to frantically escape. Yi 17 and the others were stunned, but they immediately reacted. The 3 of them quickly followed, wanting to make the barbarian emperor stay. However, this barbarian emperor's defense was extremely strong. He kept his eyes closed and covered his head as he madly ran. When he closed his eyes and covered his head, the vassal realm experts of the Yu and Feng families couldn't do anything. The Yu family's illusion techniques could only be attacked through the eyes. Although the Feng family's flying swords could pierce the barbarian emperor's skin, such a small injury was nothing to the 3-meter-tall barbarian emperor. Yi 17's aura enveloped the barbarian emperor, and the long saber in his hand flashed with saber light. Unfortunately, this barbarian emperor's defense was too strong. The important parts of his body were wrapped in gray leather armor, so they couldn't cause any serious damage. In the end, after chasing for more than 5 kilometers, the three of them looked at the barbarian emperor who had jumped straight down a cliff and shook their heads helplessly. They didn't continue the chase and return home. With their speed, it only took them a few breaths to cover a distance of more than 10 kilometers. However, when they returned to their original location, they saw a strange scene that made them collectively stunned. They saw the disciples of the Yi family surrounding a group of barbarians, but they didn't attack. And among the barbarians, there was a black-clothed youth covered in blood. He was actually fighting a group of barbarians alone. No, this wasn't a group battle, but a naked massacre. Chapter 92. The black-robed youngster held a green dagger in his hand. His footsteps were strange, and he seemed like a slippery loach as he shuttled through the crowd of dozens of barbarians. His footsteps were elegant, and he looked like a dancer who was dancing gracefully. The green dagger in his hand fluttered with his footsteps. Occasionally, a bewitching glint would flash in his eyes, causing a berserker who was approaching him to freeze for a moment. Then, he would slowly and gently draw a line across the berserker's neck with the dagger. The barbarian's neck immediately split open with a red wound, like the mouth of a baby. In an instant, a stream of blood shot out. Then, the barbarian's eyes bulged, and he fell to the ground with a loud bang. Damn. 17. When did your young master become so fierce? The light in his eyes is the Yu family's illusion technique. The green dagger in his hand is at least a treasured weapon, right? How did great elder Yi Qingyo's galloping bull steps become so elegant and confident under this kid's feet? Feng Meng rubbed his head and looked greedily at the green dagger in Yi Qinghan's hand. It must be known that if he had a transcendent artifact like the one in Yi Qinghan's hand, that barbarian emperor wouldn't have been able to escape. He would have been able to kill him instantly. But thinking about it was just thinking about it. He knew that this transcendent artifact was something that could only be discovered by luck and not sought after. It must be known that a transcendent artifact and above was something that none of the craftsmen in the continent could create. The rare treasured weapons on the continent, as well as the divine weapons, could only be obtained by luck from one place. That was the most dangerous place on the continent, the God-slaying mountain. And with his strength, if he entered the God-slaying mountain, he would most likely die. Aunt Yu, of course, was not a fairy, nor did she have the temperament of a fairy. This Marquis of the Yu family did not have the temperament of an expert at all. Her mature and beautiful face constantly rippled with a soul-stealing charm, making her look somewhat like a madam of a brothel. At this moment, she looked at the strange light flashing in Yi Qinghan's eyes and faintly frowned. Puzzled, she said, "That's not right. This kid doesn't seem to be using the Yu family's illusion technique. His speed is faster than theirs, and the confusion lasts longer. And although he is Yu Shui's son, I've never heard of a man being able to awaken the Yu family's bloodline. Learning the Yu family's illusion technique? This kid, he really has a lot of secrets. Of course, let me tell you, Yi Qinghan is the future patriarch of the Yi family." Of course, Knight 17 knew that the light in Yi Qinghan's eyes was his body fusion combat skill. However, he wasn't stupid enough to tell everyone that Yi Qinghan had a holy beast and a heaven-defying body fusion combat skill. However, as they looked at the young man in front of them who was gradually growing up, they thought of his amiable smile and his extremely close relationship with them. In the future, once Yi Qinghan became the patriarch of the Yi family, their lives with Yi Shisan would not be too bad. Yu Qingcheng and Yi Qingwu had complicated expressions on their faces. Yu Qingcheng looked at Yi Qinghan, who was dancing gracefully in the midst of the barbarian tribe and killing one person with each step. Her quick-witted eyes became blurry. This was her future man, the man whom she would spend the rest of her life with. She thought about how Yi Qinghan had confidently and calmly explained the tune he had sung on the boat to Tranquil Lake Island, and how he had recognized her at a glance. She thought about how Yi Qinghan had heroically sung the song, breaking the formation on Tranquil Lake Island, and how Yi Qinghan had looked down on the world. She sighed in her heart that her choice back then wasn't wrong. Since it wasn't wrong, then she would continue down this path. Of course, Yi Qingwu had seen Yi Qinghan kill people. Back in the Yi family castle's garden of enchantment, Yi Qinghan had killed people in a fit of rage. It was also this demonic light that had flashed and instantly killed the Emperor Realm Yi Rong. She thought about the young figure standing proudly in the garden of enchantment. At this moment, he had gradually matured from an inexperienced youth. She looked at Yu Qingqing's infatuated gaze and thought about how Yi Qingyu had sacrificed her soul without hesitation that day in the Garden of Enchantment. An inexplicable feeling welled up in Yi Qingwu's heart. It was a little sour, a little jealous, and a little lost this massacre didn't last for long. Seeing the last barbarian fall to the ground, Yi Qinghan raised his hand to wipe the bloodstains on his face. However, the more he wiped, the dirtier it became. He didn't have time to think about why everyone was looking at him. He just quickly wiped his hands on his clothes and started to get busy. Everyone also started to get busy. They started to gather the corpses and waited for Yi Qinghan to collect the points. After a while, Yi Qinghan saw that the points on the ring in his hand had increased from more than 700 to nearly 1,000. He grinned. Unexpectedly, when he smiled, his blood-stained face became somewhat ferocious and terrifying, scaring the people around him. Without caring about their reactions, Yi Qinghan confirmed that all the points had been collected. Then, Yi Qinghan gestured to Yi Shisan that they had succeeded. Everyone retreat. Return to the cave last night. Yi Shisan ordered decisively. They retreated to the cave where they had rested and reorganized yesterday. This battle had lasted for half an hour. If they didn't retreat now, they might attract the attention of nearby alien race squads. After cleaning up, the Hua family assassins quickly dispersed, and everyone turned around and ran back. As for the barbarian corpses on the ground, they obviously didn't have the time and energy to care about them. At night, demonic beasts would appear in large numbers and devour the corpses that died in the battle during the day. Today's first battle was a victory. Everyone needed to rest and think for a while so that they could be more familiar with each other in the next battle and expand the battle results. Today's battle results were good. They defeated a barbarian squad and killed more than half of the barbarians without any deaths or minor injuries. It was a pity that most of the barbarian marshals in the squad ran away. In the end, only 2 or 3 barbarians were killed. It was also a pity that the barbarian emperor had escaped. It seemed that they had to make a battle plan. If they encountered such a situation in the future, they wouldn't let these shining points escape from under their noses. The squad rested for a night and set off again the next day. They didn't go deep into the danger zone. They just wandered around the temporary gathering place. On the afternoon of the 3rd day, they finally encountered another squad of the Demon Clan. After confirming that it was just an ordinary squad, the whole squad began to attack. After yesterday's battle, the elites of the 4 families cooperated more tacitly. After 2 short rounds of attacks, the squad of the Demon Clan was completely defeated. In the end, Yi Shisan decisively sent out 5 vassal realm powerhouses. Following the collective charge of the large squad, the 5 vassal realm powerhouses instantly killed 2 demon emperors of the Demon Clan. In the end, out of the entire squad of the Demon Clan, only a dozen people luckily escaped. The rest became the points on Yi Qinghan's ring. Just like that, the super elite squads of the 4 families wandered around every morning. After the Hua clan assassins confirmed the strength of the enemy, they immediately started the battle and quickly retreated after killing. Within half a month, they actually slaughtered 8 squads and obtained more than 1,000 points. Adding the original points, the number on Yi Qinghan's ring was almost 3,000. The crazy slaughter of the super elite squads of the 4 families finally attracted the attention of the Demon Clan and the barbarians. They began to gather a few squads and started to intercept the squads of the 4 families. However, under the advanced detection of the Hua clan assassins, they calmly retreated. At the same time, their squad also became famous in the House of Aries. On the chaotic battlefield, a rumor about Yi Qinghan's super elite squad began to appear. According to the rumor, the four great clans of the House of Aries had jointly assembled a super elite squad. They were dressed entirely in black and masked. The squad's combat strength was incomparably valiant. They won every battle, and all of them were complete victories. Until now, they had slaughtered more than a dozen elite squads of the Demon Clan and the Barbarians. Most importantly, the squad's casualty rate was pitifully low. After more than a dozen battles, only a few people died, and more than a dozen were severely injured. Of course, this rumor about Yi Qinghan's squad had also spread, but their casualty rate was indeed very low. The squad's tacit understanding increased day by day, and the squad members also gradually grew through each battle. The Hua clan assassins were like ghosts. Every time a squad member was in danger, they would instantly kill. The Yu clan's illusions and the Feng clan's flying swords were impossible to guard against. The few vassal realm powerhouses hidden in the crowd could provide support at any time. 120 martial realm powerhouses and 7 vassal realm powerhouses. Moreover, most of the people inside were descendants of the ancient gods. They possessed the bloodline of the gods and possessed nature-defying skills. With such a powerful and luxurious lineup, if they still couldn't win a complete victory against a squad of foreign clans that was so much weaker than them, Yi San, the commander, should just bang his head against a tree and commit suicide. Chapter 93. In the chaotic battlefield, the super elite squads of the 4 clans massacred a few squads of the 2 clans within half a month after a round of wanton killing. After a short period of panic, the barbarians and demon clans reacted immediately. The super elite squads led by the son of the demon god, Yao Kaka, and the super elite squads led by the young patriarch of the barbarians, Mangon, began to intercept them. In the next 10 days or so, the 4 clans teams had almost run into each other many times under the careful planning of the 2 squads. However, after being targeted by Yao Kaka's squad for the first time a few days ago, Yi San had already spread out all the Hua clan assassins. With every operation, all the Hua family assassins had already been completely dispersed out. The perimeter of vigilance had been expanded by 2-fold. Therefore, he could easily discover the squads that came to intercept them in advance and quickly retreated. This made Yao Kaka and Mangon so angry that they stomped their feet and cursed. It was not that they were afraid of these 2 squads. In fact, Fengzi had suggested many times that she wanted to fight these 2 squads alone and completely cripple them. However, Yi San and a few marquee realm experts discussed and decided not to fight these 2 squads if they encountered them first. Firstly, they came to the prefecture battle mainly to gain experience and gain points. There was no need to risk their lives. First, they should obtain enough points. Secondly, the 2 squads had not wantonly slaughtered the elite squads of the House of Aries. Therefore, Long Sinan did not stand out, and there was no need for them to risk their lives. Whether they could win or not was one thing. The few young masters and ladies in the squads were the treasures of their clans. If anything happened to them, they would not be able to atone for their sins. Therefore, in the following days, they carefully wandered around the chaotic battlefield. With self-preservation as the priority, they would immediately start the battle when they found an opportunity to attack. Then, they would quickly leave after obtaining points. Although the probability of obtaining points was much slower this way, it was safer. The temporary base camp of the House of Aries. As a large number of squads had gone to the illusory forest to participate in the battle, the temporary base camp had quieted down. Only the 4 squads of the 4 clans that had not been selected and the wounded who had been sent back from the illusory forest remained in the base camp. Of course, there was also the Shui Wuhan squad that had not gone out yet. Shui Wuhan had been lurking here all this while, allowing his family's team to either cultivate or play. As long as they didn't leave the base and didn't do anything that crossed the line, he couldn't be bothered to care. After more than 3 months of cultivation, he finally broke through the bottleneck that he had been stuck at for more than a year. He stepped into the level 1 martial realm. Although his realm was not too high at this age, He had always been relying on his family's insect breeding skill instead of his battle chi cultivation base. His 12 golden-shelled insects were more powerful than most of the elders in his family. That was why he was appointed as the young patriarch. The 4 clans formed a super elite team and headed to the illusory forest to participate in the battle. He hadn't participated in the battle with them in the first place, and he naturally wouldn't go out again now. He knew that he had a bad reputation among the descendants of the 4 clans. Fengzi and Hua Hua were very unhappy with him, and Yi Qinghan wanted to eat his flesh and blood. Since Yu Qingsheng followed Yi Qinghan, she probably wouldn't treat him well either. However, he didn't care. What he cared about was his cultivation base and the promise that Tu Qianjun had given him. Tu Qianjun had told him that he could still survive after the prefecture battle and that he could follow him. He could follow him into the Divine City and climb out of the Fire Dragon continent. That was why he wouldn't foolishly participate in the prefecture battle and put himself in danger. However, on this day, a special guest suddenly came to the temporary base camp. This made him a little helpless, but also a little excited. Today, the sky above the temporary base camp was suddenly covered by a dark cloud. Looking at the huge body of the magical beast above their heads, the temporary base camp fell into a panic. The temporary base camp fell in a panic at first, but after a moment, when they saw a person suddenly jump down from the magical beast, their emotions changed from panic to respect and envy. The dark cloud wasn't a magical beast that escaped from the illusory forest, but a winged dragon, a mount specially used by the Divine City. This person wore a white robe and jumped down from the winged dragon, emitting a golden radiance. He was someone from the Divine City. Although they knew that no one was allowed to participate in the prefecture battle after the transfer point was closed, since he was someone from the Divine City, it was only natural. Moreover, this person obviously wasn't here to participate in the prefecture battle. He just walked straight into Shui Wu's bamboo house. After discussing for a while, he once again rode the winged dragon and disappeared into the horizon. After a while, Shui Wu appeared and immediately gave an order to his team. Prepare immediately. We will enter the illusory forest tomorrow and participate in the prefecture battle. He looked at the team that quickly got busy because of a single sentence he had said earlier. Looking at the illusory forest in the distance that was like a black hole that was constantly devouring lives, Shui Wuhan's gray and black eyes flashed with a trace of ruthlessness. Young master, didn't you say that we won't participate in the prefecture battle? Are we going to the Divine City after training in the temporary base camp for a year? Why did you change your mind now? The 2 youths beside him had an ominous premonition when they saw the ruthlessness that flashed in Shui Wuhan's eyes. Shui Wuhan didn't answer immediately. Instead, he looked at the illusory forest in a daze and said faintly, I originally didn't want to, but now I have to complete a mission to prove my loyalty to the Divine City. Of course, it can also untie a knot in my heart. Go and prepare. The following things will be quite fun. After the huge winged dragon soared into the sky, it didn't immediately fly away from the netherworld island. Instead, it flew towards the illusory forest. However, it flew a little too high, so the people on the ground didn't sense it at all. The winged dragon finally landed in the temporary base camp of the demon race. The white-robed man flew down and had a discussion with the leader of the temporary base camp of the demon race. Then, he got up again and went to the base camp of the barbarian race. After another discussion, he flew away from the netherworld island and flew directly towards the Fire Dragon continent, disappearing completely. After that, the temporary base camp of the demon race and the barbarian race immediately sent out a small team to inform Yao Kaka and Mangon, who were in the chaotic battlefield in the illusory forest about what the white-robed man had discussed. After Yao Kaka and Mangon received the news, their tightly knitted brows finally relaxed. They hurriedly gave a series of orders that made their subordinates feel puzzled. Of course, Yi Qinghan and the others didn't know about these things that happened in the dark. The small team still went out carefully every day to look for prey. At this moment, they were in an extremely large canyon. The assassins of the Hua clan had already spread out in all directions. The assassins of the Hua clan were on guard on both sides of the canyon. so they weren't so worried that they would encounter the attacks of Yao Kaka and Mangon. After not meeting the small team of the barbarian race and the demon race for 2 days, the small team was a little listless. They walked silently in the canyon. The canyon was very long, more than 10 miles long. There were many chaotic battlefields in such a canyon, and it was also very common. The assassins of the Hua clan came to report the nearby information from time to time. According to the report, the other small team was very surprised. There were actually many transportation formations in front of this canyon. There were more than 10 of them. There weren't many places with such dense transportation formations. The surroundings of the canyon were barren. It was obvious that it wasn't a good place to squat. So, the small team gave up on squatting here. After all, their small team's combat power was extraordinary. They could defeat an ordinary foreign tribe team in an instant. There was no need to waste time here. Report! The assassin of the Hua clan reported again. Looking at the solemn expression of the dark and skinny man, it was obvious that something big had happened. Everyone didn't dare to continue chatting. They all focused their attention on this assassin. Ahead, not far from the transportation formation, we found a huge cave. There's a cruel and brutal aura coming from the cave. It's suspected that there are demonic beasts of at least the 7th rank and above. I suggest that the small team stop first and investigate the situation before moving forward. When Yi Shur-san heard this, he waved his hand decisively. The entire team stopped moving forward. Then, he discussed with a few Duke realm experts and gave the order, everyone retreat 5 miles. The Hua clan's Duke realm expert, Hua Xian, will go ahead and investigate. We'll make a decision after the situation is clear. Chapter 94. Yi Qinghan and the rest didn't say much as they decisively retreated 5 kilometers with the rest. After all, safety first. A 7th rank beast was a powerful existence comparable to a duke. If it was an 8th rank magical beast, then it would be too much. If their team encountered it, at least half of them would die. The team retreated 5 kilometers and waited in silence for Hua Xian's report. If it was an inferior 7th rank magical beast, then the team could probably go back and deal with it. After all, a 7th rank magical crystal was a treasure that was difficult to obtain. It was a treasure not only for cultivation, but also for alchemy. Roar! However, in less than 10 minutes, an earth-shattering roar suddenly sounded in front of them. Everyone's expressions changed. Yi Shur-san decisively ordered the team to be on high alert. They retreated again and only stopped when they reached the entrance of the canyon. As for the loud roar, it only sounded once before it didn't sound again. Everyone stood at the entrance. Seeing that Hua Xian still hadn't returned, they were just about to send 2 more dukes to investigate when they unexpectedly saw a battered and exhausted Hua Xian quickly running over with blood dripping from the corner of her mouth. Superior 8th rank magical beast, Silver Moon, 2-headed wolf. Everyone retreat quickly. Hua Xian's expression was bitter and pale. It was obvious that she had just been injured by the magical beast. When everyone heard this, they hurriedly issued a secret signal, indicating for the Hua family's scouts to quickly retreat. Then, the entire team turned and began to run at full speed. What a joke! Superior 8th rank magical beast, Silver Moon, 2-headed wolf. This was a superior 8th rank magical beast. Their own team wouldn't be enough to devour it. Although they knew that high-level magical beasts usually wouldn't leave their territory and follow them, it was best to stay far away from this malefic star. However, it was better to stay far away from such a malefic star. If it was angered by flowery hearts probing and followed after them, it would not be harmonious. The urgent march lasted for 3 hours. Everyone heaved a sigh of relief when they returned to the divine battle residence and gathered at the team's gathering point. As if they had escaped from death, they all jumped for joy. They secretly committed this location to memory. In the future, they would never go near that canyon again, even if they were beaten to death. After all, that was one of the most dangerous places on Nether Island. If they completely angered the Silver Moon 2-headed wolf, it could even tear apart 10 teams. The team entered the familiar battlefield, and the entire army immediately began to relax. This was a place guarded by Long Sinan. There were also many teams from the House of Aries nearby, so there was no need to worry about any unexpected situations. Hua Hua and the others started to chat and laugh. They started to ask Hua Xin about what had happened. Hua Xin was obviously frightened just now. She only recovered after walking halfway. Now that Flora was asking questions, the people around her were listening attentively. He smiled bitterly and started to explain. There was a huge cave about 500 meters in front of the tightly packed teleportation arrays. Hua Xin walked to the side, and a fierce and brutal aura greeted her. Hua Xin did not dare to be careless and immediately went into stealth. However, just as he stepped more than 10 meters into the cave, he heard a loud roar coming from inside. Then he saw two giant wolf heads bigger than a human's head and two pairs of cold, bloodthirsty eyes. He was almost scared out of his wits by the loud roar. Now that he saw the giant wolf heads, he immediately split into 5 clones and fled in all directions. However, the silver moon two-headed wolf was obviously unhappy with the human who had barged into its cave. The wolf head on the left spat out a mouthful of green gas, instantly shattering the 4 doppelgangers. Hua Xion's original body was also hit and sent flying. Fortunately, he reacted quickly and started to escape as soon as he saw the giant wolf head, so he was not seriously injured. After being sent flying, he immediately went into stealth and fled frantically. Finally, he was lucky enough to survive. Scary. The few of them looked at each other and looked at each other in horror. The Silver Moon two-headed wolf was indeed a powerful 8th-rank magical beast. In a single exchange, he had sent a Duke Realm expert flying, nearly heavily injuring him. It was probably impossible to kill it without the strength of a 3rd-level emperor. All right, let's go back and rest for a day. Hua Xin, take care of your wounds and cultivate hard. In the next prefecture battle, when you reach the Sage Realm, you can destroy it. Yi Shursen smiled and patted Hua Xion's shoulder to comfort him. As the only Duke assassin in the team, Hua Xion was a powerful combat force that the team couldn't do without. He had to calm down so that he could fight better in the future. That's right, brother Hua Xion. We'll come back in 30 years and destroy this little bastard. We'll avenge you. Feng Zi chuckled. After hearing Yi Shursan's words, he began to imagine what level he would reach in 30 years. Most of the people here would probably become the pillars of their respective families in 30 years' time. They chatted as they walked. Unexpectedly, a Hua family disciple brought them a piece of surprising news. They found the Shui family's team up ahead, and Shui Wuhan was among them. Huh? This coward is here too? Feng Zi raised his eyebrows and didn't hide his disgust. He waved his hand and smiled. Let's go and meet this lackey who defected to the Divine City. Ugh! Yi Qinghan's eyes flashed with a hint of excitement. He had thought that Shui Wuhan wouldn't come out for a long time. He couldn't do anything if he stayed in his temporary headquarters. Now that he had come out, it meant that his chance had come. The humiliation on Song City's Nyolan Street, the ambush by Shui Yi and the others in the Savage Mountains, and the Yi family's instigation of Yi Qinghuang and Yi Rong to murder his sister. With so many debts added together, he had long since listed Shui Wuhan as a must-kill target. However, Yi Qingyo had told him that he could and had to do it. However, he had to do it discreetly, without leaving any evidence. Otherwise, the Yi family wouldn't be able to answer to the other major families. There had been some friction between the 5 major families in every generation, resulting in many disciples who didn't see eye to eye with each other and fought. But no matter what, the 5 major families were actually of the same branch. They relied on and supported each other for thousands of years. It was allowed for there to be conflicts and friction between the disciples of the families. But until now, there had never been an incident where a core disciple of a family was killed in public. After thousands of years, the 5 major families had formed a tacit understanding. It was an invisible rule. If there was something, it could be done in secret. As long as it didn't destroy a family, as long as it didn't shake the foundation of another family, and as long as there was no evidence, everything was fine. If you had the ability, you could do it. In Song City, Shui Wuhan discovered that Yi Qingyu actually had the Jade Spirit Body, one of the 2 saint bodies on the continent. He didn't hesitate and immediately started to do it. But in the end, he didn't succeed. Fortunately, he was the fastest to escape and wasn't caught red-handed by the Yi family. There was no direct evidence. Therefore, the Yi family had no choice but to kill Xue Wuhan directly. They could only send Yi Qingniu to extort money from him. And at this moment in the prefecture battle, Yi Qinghan had the ability to kill Xue Wuhan in a second. Therefore, he could secretly kill Xue Wuhan. Of course, he could only do it secretly and secretly. He couldn't leave any evidence. Xue Wuhan had been holed up in the temporary headquarters, so he naturally didn't have a chance. But now that Xue Wuhan had come out, it meant that he had a chance. Therefore, he started to smile. It was a lewd and happy smile. He followed the team and strode towards Xue Wuhan's team. Xue Wuhan was in a good mood. His gray and black eyes flashed with a smile. He waved the fan in his hand casually. It was as if he wasn't on the dangerous Nether Island, but strolling on the 13th Street of Tsang City. The two marquis beside him were guarding him at all times. The 200 martial-level experts that the Xue family had prepared for him were scattered around. He had no reason to be afraid. At least here, in the territory guarded by Long Sainan, he wouldn't be afraid. The emissary from the Divine City had brought him a mission and a promise. A promise from Tu Qianjun. Ever since he accidentally met Tu Qianjun more than 10 years ago, he had been waiting for this day, waiting for this opportunity. Tu Qianjun had given him hope in the Calm Lake City, and he had received a positive answer a few days ago. As long as he completed this mission, he could walk into the tall Divine Mountain and the tall Divine City. Then he could soar into the sky and have the opportunity to fly out of the dead well that was the Fire Dragon Continent. For himself and for his family, he could win generations of glory and limitless development. As for the dislike and dissatisfaction of the younger generation of the four families, he didn't care at all. Now that his horizons had been broadened, his mentality had also changed. Would a person get angry with a group of ants? Of course not. Therefore, when he saw the gloomy Yi Qinghan and Fengzi walking over, he smiled happily at them. His smile was very bright as the purple roses on the calm Lake Island. Chapter 95. Young Master Xue, you actually have the time to visit our suffering compatriots? Are you here to see how we will be bullied by the monster and barbarian residences? Fengzi's tone was filled with anger. Even an idiot could hear the mockery and disdain in his words. Hua Chao also pouted. His feminine and beautiful face clearly expressed his dislike for Xue Wuhan. He said sharply, I thought young Master Xue went straight to the Divine City. Why? Are you tired of staying in the main camp? Are you here to relax? Yu Qingcheng didn't say anything. She already knew everything that Xue Wuhan had done in Tsang City from Yi Qingwu. She didn't even have the mood to mock such a person. She just looked at Yi Qinghan worriedly. She frowned slightly, making one's heart ache. Yi Qinghan didn't say anything either. He just looked at Xue Wuhan in a daze. His lips curled into a slanted smile. His eyes were burning, as if he wanted to melt Xue Wuhan. Haha, everyone is talking as if Wuhan is going to betray the 5 big clans and become your enemy. No matter what, the 5 big clans are one family, aren't they? Xue Wuhan could hear the mockery and disdain in their words. However, his skin was thicker than the city walls, so he didn't care at all. The corners of his mouth curled up into an intoxicating smile. He didn't seem to care about everyone's ridicule and hostility as he spoke calmly. His eyes drifted past Yu Qingcheng's beautiful face. Greed flashed in his eyes, and he immediately shifted his gaze. When he finally saw Yi Qinghan, his eyes were burning, as if he wanted to melt Yi Qinghan. All right, we still have things to do. We won't disturb your trip. Fengzi saw that Xue Wuhan's smile was still the same as before, but it didn't feel like a spring breeze anymore. Instead, he felt disgusted and snorted coldly. Looking at this smiling face, he didn't even want to say any more polite words. He prepared to leave, no longer looking at Xue Wuhan's hypocritical smile. Flowers and grass nodded as well. In the past, when they saw Xue Wuhan's friendly smile, they felt that it was an eyesore. They didn't want to say anything more and wanted to leave. Don't. It's not easy for us to meet. Why don't we sit together? Xue Wuhan was still smiling amiably as he suggested enthusiastically. Feng Zi snorted coldly again. His tone had become very unfriendly. Forget it. We're here to do something, not to travel. The flowers and plants lowered their heads. Yu Qingqing turned around and whispered to Yi Qingwu. He looked as if he had heard Xue Wuhan's words and was about to leave. Yi Qinghan still didn't move, nor did he say anything. He was still staring at Xue Wuhan blankly. Then let's do it this way. Xue Wuhan's eyes flashed, and he put away the folding fan in his hand. He looked at Yi Qinghan and said solemnly, I'll take up a few minutes of your time. I have a few private words with young Master Han. Can young Master Han do me the honor? Everyone looked at Yi Qinghan in surprise. Xue Wuhan seemed to have a deep hatred for Yi Qinghan. The two of them actually had a private conversation. Yu Qingcheng and Yi Qingwu looked at Yi Qinghan nervously, as if reminding him that they were worried about him. Young Master, Yi Shisan, who was at the side, looked at Yi Qinghan worriedly and reminded him. It's fine. Yi Qinghan waved his hand and gave Yu Qingcheng and Yi Qingwu a reassuring look. Then he looked at Xue Wuhan with interest and smiled happily. He said, Young Master Xue, since you've given the order, how would Yi Qinghan dare to disobey? Everyone, please wait for a moment. I'll have a good chat with young Master Xue. Although he was a little surprised that Xue Wuhan wanted to talk to him alone, he naturally wouldn't be afraid of Xue Wuhan's schemes when there were so many experts here. Even if Xue Wuhan really wanted to do something, he wasn't afraid of anything. He was 100% sure that he could kill Xue Wuhan in a second. Young Master. This time, it was the Marquis next to Xue Wuhan who began to worry and remind him. They had received a death order from their families that they couldn't let Xue Wuhan leave their sight. Even if he went to the toilet, they had to follow him. So, of course, they were worried. Xue Wuhan didn't say anything. He waved his hand and gave them a determined look. Then he smiled and gestured to Yi Qinghan to follow him. Yi Qinghan shrugged his shoulders and took the lead to walk towards the small bushes. Xue Wuhan cupped his hands at everyone to express his apology, then followed Yi Qinghan. Xue Wuhan, what can I do for you? Yi Qinghan narrowed his eyes and looked at Xue Wuhan. The hatred in his eyes was very obvious, as if he hadn't tried to hide it. Xue Wuhan scanned the surroundings. After making sure that no one was watching or listening in, his expression changed, and he said with an ashamed expression, Young Master Han, I was wrong in the past. I sincerely apologize to you here. Moreover, the Xue clan has also compensated your family with a large amount of treasures and resources. Do you think the hatred between us can be resolved? As long as it can be resolved, Wuhan is willing to agree to any condition. Resolve. When Yi Qinghan heard this, his eyes became more and more dazed. It was as if he had heard the funniest joke in the world. The faint sneer at the corner of his mouth became more and more obvious. He raised his head in amusement and said, I can resolve it. You just have to slit your throat immediately, and there will be no more hatred between us. Moreover, I will promise you that I won't go against your family again. Sigh, do you have to be so extreme? Xue Wuhan sighed helplessly. It was as if this was the answer he didn't want to hear the most. His eyes dimmed. Extreme? When Yi Qinghan heard this, he raised his eyebrows and was a little angry. He laughed coldly and pointed at Xue Wuhan and asked, What do you mean by extreme? Let's not talk about the slap you gave me at Nilan Street. You sent people to the barbaric mountains to kill me, and you won't forgive me? You sent people to murder my sister, and you won't forgive me? Do you know that my sister is lying in the back mountain of the Yi clan, and her life is hanging by a thread? Do you think the hatred between us can be easily resolved with just a few words from you? Sigh, I didn't know that she was your sister. Xue Yi and the others were also secretly sent by old Shi, so I didn't know either. Now that things have come to this, I don't want to. Whether you believe me or not, my apology is sincere. Xue Wuhan smiled bitterly and said helplessly, All right, I don't want to say anything more. If that's all you want to say, I think there's no need for us to say anything more. When Yi Qinghan saw Xue Wuhan's hypocritical expression and words, he resisted the urge to slap him to death. After he finished speaking coldly, he turned around and left. Sigh. Xue Wuhan looked at Yi Qinghan as he left coldly and sighed helplessly. However, when he saw a few insects the size of ants on Yi Qinghan's back quickly drilling into Yi Qinghan's hair and disappearing, the corners of his mouth suddenly rose into a silent smile. His gray and black eyes were shining brightly, and they were as deep as the sea. He stood at the same spot for a long time until Yi Qinghan and his team had completely left his sight. Only then did the corners of his mouth gradually widen. From a light smile, it started to become a big laugh, and finally, it became a crazy laugh. Young clan leader, why did you plant a hidden insect in Yi Qinghan's body? When the two Duke Realm bodyguards saw Shui Wuhan's actions, their expressions darkened. They waved their hands and dispersed the team in all directions. Then, one of the Duke Realm powerhouses asked in confusion. With their strength and understanding of the art of breeding insects and insects, they could naturally see that Shui Wuhan had secretly planted a tracking hidden insect in Yi Qinghan's body. Because I want to kill him. Shui Wuhan calmed down after laughing loudly. He waved the fan in his hand again and said faintly, "Yeah." The two Duke Realm powerhouses looked at each other and saw the shock in each other's eyes. Their expressions changed at the same time as they scanned their surroundings vigilantly. Then, they said with a serious expression, "Young clan leader, this cannot be done. Not to mention that there are so many powerhouses around Yi Qinghan. Even if we can kill him, Yi Qinghan has such an important position in the Yi family. If Yi Qinghan dies, the Yi family will completely riot. When that happens, it will be a disaster that will befall the family. I'm not that stupid. The ones who did this are the barbarians and demons. I'm only responsible for revealing his whereabouts. Once this matter is done, I can soar to the sky in one go and establish a foundation for the family for 10,000 years." Shui Wuhan waved his hand faintly as a fervent and excited light flashed in his eyes. This is even more unacceptable. Colluding with a foreign race to harm one of our own. Once the matter of daylight is exposed, the family will also be unable to establish a foothold in the House of Aries. We will definitely not agree to this. The two Duke Realm powerhouses became even more anxious when they heard this. They hurriedly pulled on Shui Wuhan's hands and said anxiously. They were just short of kneeling before Shui Wuhan. Shui Wuhan ignored the two's frightened and anxious expressions. He took out a red token from his bosom and said with a resolute expression, "Father has already given me the floating blood token when he came. I have already decided that unless you want to betray the Shui family, you will all listen to my commands. Don't worry, I will definitely do this secretly. No one will find out. Once this matter is done, the Shui family's glorious future will be born in the hands of the three of us." At this moment, Yi Qinghan obviously didn't know that Shui Wuhan had taken the opportunity to have a private chat with him and had secretly planted a tracking bug on him. He also didn't know that Tu Qianjun had set up a large net and Shui Wuhan, Yao Kaka, and Mangan had already quietly enveloped the sky above him and were waiting for him to walk directly into the net. He just leaned against the cave he was resting in and closed his eyes as he recalled the past. He thought about the weak, white-haired, white-clothed girl who was quietly lying in the mountain behind the Yi family. The more he thought about it, the more the murderous intent in his eyes became. It was like a warm summer wind. The more it blew, the hotter it became. "Shui Wuhan, just you wait. If I have the chance, I will definitely kill you." Chapter 96. Yao Kaka was in a good mood. As the only son of Yao Xie, one of the two saints of the demon race, his status in the demon race was similar to that of Mangan. Furthermore, he had the pure bloodline of the Berserk Lion race and was extremely talented. At the age of 28, he had the strength of an inferior-grade demon emperor, which gave him a unique status in the demon race. According to his father's wishes, he shouldn't participate in this prefecture battle. After all, Yao Xie was an old man and was afraid that something might happen to him in such a chaotic region. However, he had been staying in the demon race's demon city for a long time and was very bored. Therefore, when he heard that there was such an exciting and fun event, he naturally wanted to come out and relax. Under the persuasion of another Saint Venerable, his father finally agreed to let him participate in the prefecture battle. From the looks of it, it was the right decision to participate in the prefecture battle. Previously, a small team of the human race had snatched a precious herb from him, which infuriated him and made him lead his team to kill many small teams of the human race. During this period of time, the elite teams of the four clans had also killed many small teams of the demon race. However, his current mood was exceptionally good. Yesterday, the headquarters had brought a piece of very good news and a very precious item, which made his mood better. The God City, which had never participated in the internal affairs of the three prefectures, actually took action because of a young master from the Yi family. He was slightly afraid of the God City. This fear came from the last words of his ancestors. His ancestors were afraid of being beaten and killed by the God City. Their last words were not to be enemies with the God City. Therefore, the order from the God City was for him to kill the young master of the Yi family. Of course, he wouldn't object and would try his best to complete the order. The human race had always been the mortal enemy of the demon race. Killing a human race member was a matter of course. Furthermore, the God City had sent over a high-grade treasure this time. Caressing the smooth and straight long sword in his hand, Yaokaka shook his head of golden hair that resembled a lion's mane. The corners of his mouth curled into a bloodthirsty smile. What kind of deep hatred did the descendants of the Yi family have with that young master from the God City? Killing his father? Impossible. The God massacring guards were still living in the God City. Stealing his wife? This was probably not possible. If Tu Qianjun wanted a woman, which girl wouldn't wash herself clean and deliver herself to him? After thinking for a while, he still couldn't figure it out, so he decided not to think about it anymore. In any case, he would be a dead man sooner or later. He and Mangon led a team to jointly pursue and kill. He did not believe that anyone could escape. What's more, wasn't there someone from the Shui clan in charge of tracking and transmitting the target's coordinates? Although he had always hated the insects of the Shui family. However, there was no doubt about their tracking ability. Thinking about how that young master from the Divine City actually made the three clans, who hated each other as much as the sea, join forces just to kill one person, he couldn't help but feel that it was funny and a little awkward. However, the emissary of the Divine City sent a message saying that whoever killed the young master of the Yi family first would receive a favor from Tu Qianjun and a sacred tool. A sacred artifact. This temptation was irresistible, and he could not refuse it. Therefore, although he felt uncomfortable, he still decided to do it with all his might. How could he not be in a good mood when he thought that he could kill the abominable team of the four clans that had slaughtered countless disciples of the demon race and obtained the sacred tool that he yearned for day and night? Tu Qianjun was also in a good mood. At this moment, he was standing on the tall divine mountain, looking up at the eastern sky. It was as if he could see the big net that he had laid on the netherworld island in the eastern sea quietly spreading out, tearing that abominable youth into pieces and turning him into a pile of minced meat. He was the only male descendant of the four guards of the Divine City. Since young, he had enjoyed the life of a crown prince. He was used to being high and mighty, and he was used to slapping people into ashes with a snap of his fingers. However, in the tranquil lake island of the enchanting city, he, the crown prince who had never been disobeyed or humiliated since young, was slapped hard in the face. He thought about the youth in black, who always had a faint smile on his face. When he thought about Yu Qingqing's beautiful face and how she had resolutely said that she wanted to choose Yi Qinghan, he felt as if he had been slapped hard in the face. Due to certain rules, he couldn't act violently in front of the tranquil lake island. Of course, he couldn't swallow his anger. Hence, when he returned to the Divine City, he made his move. He wanted to find an opportunity to vent his anger and regain his reputation. He mobilized all his men to investigate Yi Qinghan's whereabouts. When he found out that Yi Qinghan had entered the netherworld island to participate in the palace tournament, he laughed. It was easy to kill someone in such a chaotic palace tournament. Swish! An air-piercing sound came from behind, dragging his thoughts back to reality. He tilted his head and glanced at the direction. He didn't care and continued to look at the mountain range in the distance, enjoying the pleasure of looking down at the other mountains. Young master, it was a man in a white robe. His face couldn't be seen under the white robe, but from his voice, he seemed to be a little old. And Tu Qianjun nodded and didn't turn his head. He continued to admire the mystical mountain scenery that was surrounded by the white mist. After a long time, he turned his head and asked, "Is the matter settled?" "I have given the order." Shui Wuhan, Yao Kaka, and Mangan said that they will definitely do their best. If the three forces kill one person, Yi Qinghan will definitely not be able to walk out of the Netherworld Island. The man in the white robe said respectfully. Tu Qianjun sneered. To vent my anger, I have spent 2 treasured artifacts and 1 sacred artifact. If I still mess up this matter, they will all be useless. The treasured artifacts and sacred artifacts are a small matter. However, young master, if we do this, we will violate the rules set by the Divine Master. If this matter is exposed, I am afraid the Divine Master will be enraged. Do you want to inform your father, the Massacre God Guards? The man in the white robe was stunned. He lifted his head and said. His tone revealed the worry and fear in his heart. Divine Master. Tu Qianjun was slightly stunned. A trace of fanaticism and fear flashed across his eyes. Then he shook his head and said indifferently, Divine Master has already been up there for 5 years and has yet to return. I reckon that he will not return for a few years. After a few years, everything will be fine. What is there to be afraid of? I will naturally inform my father. Don't worry. Pay close attention to everything on the Netherworld Island. If there is any information, report back quickly. Yes, young master. The man in the white robe nodded respectfully. He turned around and leaped down the mountain peak. After a few leaps, he disappeared into the white fog. The Netherworld Island seemed to have become quieter these few days. The elite teams of the human race have been wandering outside. However, they rarely found the elite teams of the brute race and the demon race. However, when a team was wandering, they found another dangerous place. The lair of an upper-tier 8th grade black dragon. This lair was located in a valley near the Scarlet Plains. An elite team of the House of Ares accidentally entered the lair. However, apart from hearing a series of screams, no one was able to escape from the valley. Coincidentally, there was a team in the vicinity. They heard a dragon's roar coming from the valley. They also saw a giant black dragon's tail. Then, Long Sign-In immediately sent people to investigate and confirmed that it was an upper-tier 8th grade black dragon. In addition, Yi Qinghan and the others found the double-headed Silver Moon Wolf. Long Sign-In immediately made a map of the 2 dangerous places on the chaotic battlefield. She distributed the 2 dangerous places to the team leaders. These 2 places were listed as areas that must not be approached. Entering would mean certain death. Yi Qinghan and the others also received a map. Thinking about the terror of the double-headed Silver Moon Wolf, they believed that this black dragon was definitely not an existence that could be provoked. At the very least, an upper-tier 8th grade demonic beast was not something that all the elites in the elite prefecture battle could afford to provoke. Although everyone knew that the most valuable treasures in this prefecture battle were in these 2 demonic beasts' lair, they still needed to be alive to obtain the treasures, right? Black Dragon Valley? According to past experience, the danger is proportional to the treasures. I'm afraid there are sage weapons, sage techniques, or divine herbs and fruits inside. Fengzi looked at the map and touched the corner of her mouth, revealing a greedy expression. Then, she glanced at the flowers and plants beside her and said with a smile, Xiao Qiao, why don't you sneak in and take the treasures inside? I'll keep watch for you. How about that? Get lost. Hua Chao rolled her eyes and pouted. She snorted and said, if you want to go, go by yourself. There are so many lonely girls in Luo Hua City waiting for me to comfort their lonely hearts. I don't want to die. Sigh. Sage weapons, sage techniques. When can I have them? Fengzi was a little dejected. She looked at Yi Qinghan, who was walking in front of her, and said with jealousy, Young Master Han is so good. You're so young, but the Yi family already gave you sage techniques. I'm afraid that the old guys in my family will only give us sage techniques when we advance into the Emperor realm. Yi Qinghan didn't say anything. He looked back at Fengzi, who was a little sullen, and continued walking in silence. Of course, his feet were surrounded by battle aura, and he was constantly using the shadow step. Recently, the demon race and the barbarian race seemed to have become a little strange. The team hadn't met a small team of the mutated race for a few days. It gave him an indescribable sense of unease, so he was constantly cultivating to deal with more dangers. Report. A small team from the House of Aries has appeared in front of us. They want to see young Master Yi Qinghan. This was a scout from the Hua family. A person quickly walked over and reported this with cupped hands. See me? Yi Qinghan was slightly stunned. He didn't seem to know anyone recently. Was it Yi and the others who had been missing for a long time? Ignoring the surprised looks on the side, Yi Qinghan and Yi Shisan looked at each other, nodded, and said, "Bring him here." Chapter 97. Bring him here. Yi and the others had been missing for a long time. Ever since Yi Qinghan heard that they were being chased by Yao Kaka, they had not received any news from their team. After that, Yi Shisan went to inquire about them on his own, but he did not receive any news from them. Why did they suddenly appear now? Of course, Yi Qinghan and the others were surprised and pleasantly surprised. "No, I'll go and see him. You guys keep moving forward. I'll catch up with the team later." Just as he was about to call the Hua family scouts to bring Yi over, he suddenly remembered that Yi and the others had been hiding their identities. Therefore, Yi Qinghan immediately stopped the Hua family assassin who was going to call for Yi. At the same time, he turned his head and gave Yu Qingqing and Feng Zihua a look to tell them that it was okay. "Ah, I'll go with young master." Yi Shisan quickly followed up and dispelled everyone's worries. With Yi Shisan's protection, it would not be a problem for them to escape if they could not win. The team continued to move forward. Yi Qinghan and Yi Shisan left the team and walked towards Yi and the others. Under the guidance of the Hua family, Yi Qinghan and Yi Shisan walked to a small lawn. They looked at the rough and burly man in front of them, and a friendly smile appeared on their faces at the same time. "Go ahead and do your thing. He's my friend." Sure enough, their guess was right. It was indeed Yi whom they had not seen for a few months. Yi Qinghan nodded at Yi and then turned to speak to the Hua family. The Hua family did not say much. They cupped their hands and left quickly. "Big brother." Yi Shisan looked very excited. He strode forward and gave Yi a bear hug. His eyes were faintly misty and his voice was choked with sobs. Yi Qinghan stood at the side and looked at the two with a smile. He knew the relationship between Yi and Yi Shisan. They were not biological brothers, but they were better than biological brothers. When they came to the chaotic area, Yi Shisan and Yi Shisan were worried about the missing Yi and the others. He was very happy to see that Yi was safe and sound. "Young master, this way, please." Yi and Yi Shisan exchanged a few pleasantries before cupping their hands respectfully toward Yi Qinghan. The three of them walked to the side and entered a dense forest. Finally, they came to a hidden cave and saw Yi 3rd, Yi Jiao, and Yi 11th, as well as the rest of the Yi family's death squad. "Third brother, 9th brother, 11th brother." "Huh? Brother Jiao, what happened to your hand?" Yi Shisan greeted everyone with a cordial smile, but his face suddenly darkened. He found that one of Yi Jiao's hands was empty. His left arm was missing from the shoulder. "Huh? Yi Jiao?" Yi Qinghan also noticed Yi Jiao's empty left hand and couldn't help but cry out. Young Master Han, 13, I was accidentally ambushed by a high-grade demon emperor beside Yao Kaka. Don't make a fuss. Isn't it just a hand? Now I can still chop people with my sword." Yi Jiao's expression was the same as usual. He was still smiling warmly, as if it wasn't a hand that had been crippled, but a small fingernail. 13, don't be coy like a woman. Don't embarrass yourself in front of young master. In our line of work, as long as you don't die, it's a great fortune. It's just that old Nine's crippled hand is a bit sullen. Damn it, Yao Kaka, that golden-haired lion, if I have the chance, I'll definitely cripple him. Yi said angrily, a trace of hatred flashing in his eyes. Yi Qinghan was silent for a moment. He stared at Yi and said, "What happened? Tell me in detail." Yi Shisan was also anxious. He said with hatred, big brother. Was it that demon Kaka who did it? It started more than a month ago. Yi frowned slightly, as if he didn't want to recall that experience. He said a bit sadly, in the beginning, we divided the squad into two teams. The first team was made up of the weakest ones as bait, and Yijio hid his presence and led the team. The rest of us followed behind and let them attract the attention of the strange races to hunt them. Then, we would be the Oriole behind them, and the two teams would counterattack. The effect was very obvious. We successfully hunted down a large number of strange races and obtained a lot of points. But later on, we killed too many and were targeted by the barbarians and demons. We started to be surrounded by Yao Kaka and Mangon. We also knew that we were being targeted, so we were very careful every time. However, in the previous month, Yao Kaka had actually imitated our strategy and used a small team to lure us out to hunt. In the end, while we were hunting, we were surrounded by 4 of his small teams. Luckily, one of the scouts that we had placed outside wasn't instantly killed and successfully sent out a signal. That was how we managed to break out of the encirclement. As for Yijio, he was ambushed by 2 of Yao Kaka's demon emperors and lost an arm. In the end, we only managed to save his life after we tried our best to rescue him. As for the small team that was sent as bait, they were completely annihilated. Even though Yi Yi's explanation was very rough, it was a very short one. However, Yi Qinghan and Yi Shisan could imagine from his words that the situation was critical and tragic at that time. Both of them didn't look good. After a moment of silence, Yi Qinghan asked again, "How did you escape later? Why haven't you heard from me for a month?" "That's right, big brother. It's been a month. You don't know that we haven't received any news from you. 17 and I are so worried." Yi Shisan, who was usually as steady as the commander of the 4 families' teams, could not remain calm at this moment. The hatred and worry on his face were very obvious. We were chased all the way here. 4 demon race squads and more than 10 demon sovereigns. We were no match for them. The way back to the temporary camp of the House of Ares was blocked. Left with no choice, we could only run away. In the end, we entered a valley that was naturally suitable for escape. Yi said as he patted Yi Shisan's shoulder. "What valley?" Yi Qinghan asked in surprise. There was actually a valley that was naturally suitable for escape? Black Dragon Valley. Yisan chuckled and said. He seemed to be very proud of their successful escape this time. Yi Qinghan and Yi Shisan looked at each other and exclaimed, "Black Dragon Valley? Isn't that the lair of an 8th grade black dragon? What's going on? Isn't that a dangerous place? You actually managed to hide in there for another month?" Young Master Han, let me tell you, there is a small cave on the left side of the valley. The entrance is very small, but it is very deep. Although the black dragon is powerful, it can't enter the cave at all. However, when we were being chased, we accidentally entered the valley. Of course, it didn't take long to lure the black dragon out. At that time, we just happened to be next to the cave, so we all entered and didn't encounter the black dragon. Of course, Yao Kaka and the others weren't so lucky. Through the cave, we discovered that at least half of them were dead or injured. As for why we stayed at the cave entrance for a month, of course, it was because once all of us left the cave, we would definitely alarm the black dragon. 1 dragon breath would kill at least half of the remaining people, so we could only hide in the cave. It wasn't until a few days ago that a small team accidentally entered the valley that we managed to escape in the chaos. Yi explained the process of their escape in detail. Listening to him, Yi Qinghan and Yi Shisan couldn't help but sigh. They were lucky. Otherwise, they would have been completely annihilated. Chapter 98. How many points did you get? Yi Qinghan pondered for a while and asked with a glimmer of hope in his eyes. Almost 5,000, Yi said with some shame. Not bad. What's your next plan? Do you want to come with us? Yi Qinghan nodded. It was already very good that they could get so many points. After all, the super elite teams of the 4 families only got less than 4,000 points. Thinking about it, Yi's bait at the beginning was very good. Of course, they didn't attract the attention of the Demon Clan and the Barbarian Clan at the beginning, so it was relatively easier to get points. Moreover, They were all orphans adopted by the Yi family and didn't have the blood of the Yi family. So the Demon Clan and the Barbarian Clan didn't think that they were from the five families, so they didn't attract too much attention at the beginning. Later, they killed more Demon Clan and Barbarian Clan and attracted the pursuit of Yao Kaka and the others. Yi shook his head and looked at Yi Shur-san. His face became serious and he said solemnly, "Go with you? Young Master Han, your team is now more famous than we were. We heard about it on the way back. You're in the light while we're in the dark. The purpose of meeting you this time is mainly to tell you to be careful not to be surrounded and killed like us. It was better to be careful." This was what the old instructor had repeatedly told him. Safety first. Spirit pills can't only be obtained through the prefecture battle. Don't be too desperate. Yes, we know. From tomorrow onwards, I will double the range of the Hua family's assassins. Be careful, big brother. Don't worry, Brother Gio. We'll definitely avenge you if we have the chance. Yi Shur-sen nodded, looked at Yi Qinghan, and got up to leave. Their team had already gone some distance away, so they had to catch up quickly. Yi and the other three watched Yi Qinghan and Yi Shur-sen leave, then turned and walked back to the cave. Yi-sen asked doubtfully, "Big brother, what should we do next?" Yi was silent for a moment and said, "What should we do? Now that we've been noticed by the two sides, we can't do it in the dark, so we'll do it in the light." Young Master Shui and the others wandered around the chaotic battlefield every day. When they encountered a target, they would attack it if they could. If they couldn't, they would retreat. Young Master Han's team is too famous now. We have to help them divert some of the attention from the outsiders. Life and death are decreed by fate, and riches and honor are determined by the heavens. We still have 5,000 points left, and we're going to give it our all. After this, we'll be able to enjoy the rest of our lives. After less than an hour, Yi Qinghan and Yi Shur-sen caught up with the main force. After reuniting, Yi Shur-sen took command of the team and immediately doubled the range of the team from the original 5 kilometers to 5 kilometers. Although the increase in scope made the people on guard even busier and more laborious. After learning about Yi Jio's situation, Yi 13 decisively issued this order. After all, safety came first. It had been 4 months since they arrived at Nether Island, and the super elite teams of the 4 families had only obtained almost 4,000 points. Yi Qinghan was a little worried and anxious. Although Yi Qinghan had never said a word, everyone could feel his urgency and helplessness. Therefore, their team had been wandering around the chaotic battlefield for the past few days, hoping to meet a team from the outsiders and quickly collect points. However, the Demon Clan and Barbarian Clan were a little strange these days, and they didn't encounter a single team. No one dared to be careless, and could only walk around the island in frustration. "Are Yi and the others okay?" As they walked, Yi Qingwu secretly leaned over to Yi Qinghan and asked. There was a touch of worry on her pure face. Yi Jio lost one of his hands. It was Yao Kaka who did it. Yi Qinghan gritted his teeth, and blue veins faintly appeared on his forehead. He was a little sad. "Ah!" Yi Qingwu narrowed her eyes and shook her head. She bit her lip lightly and sighed. It's good enough that he survived. Let the family compensate him in the future. On Yi Shur-san's side, Yi Shur-san finally got the news he had been waiting for a month. Although it wasn't bad news, Old Nine's hand still made him feel a bit upset. Therefore, his face was a bit gloomy, and his eyes were very angry. He looked around randomly, as if he wanted to find a bunch of demons and barbarians in the forest to let him vent his anger and anger. There were no demons or barbarians in the forest, only cool breezes and greenery. It was just that one of the Hua family scouts brought back a piece of news that caused his eyes to brighten and radiate with radiance. It had been 4 or 5 days, and this was the first time they had found a team from the Demon Clan. Stand by and prepare for battle. Hua Team 1 continued to scout. Find out everything about that team and report back quickly. Yi Shur-san's orders were a little cautious. Although he recalled Yi Jio's empty arm and the unconcealable heartache on his face, he had the urge to rush up and kill. However, he resisted the urge and gave the order to scout and stand by. After a few days, they were finally going to fight again. Hua Hua and Feng Zi's eyes were obviously full of fighting spirit as they silently stroked the swords in their hands. They didn't object to Yi Shisan's careful arrangements, but their obviously heavy breathing betrayed the hidden urgency in their hearts. Yi Qinghan stood silently and didn't make any extra movements. He just lowered his head and gently stroked the ring in his hand. Of course, the ring was yellow, not bronze. Yi's dark line obviously didn't play a decisive role. The battle between the two clans had become orderly because of the two young princes in the clan. Obviously, it wasn't as chaotic as before. Therefore, the dark line that was supposed to be very stable was now unstable. He was a little anxious, worried, and disappointed. More than 10 minutes later, the Hua family assassin reported back with very good news. There were no foreign clan teams within a radius of 10 miles, and the demon team was all leopards. There was only the aura of a demon emperor among them. "Let's do it!" Yi Shisan and the other marquis from the other clans looked at each other and nodded. They gave the order to start the battle. Feng Zi grinned and narrowed her eyes. She shook the huge sword on her back. Hua Hua and Hua Xian nodded. They waved their hands, and countless Hua family assassins started to move stealthily. Their figures gradually disappeared and spread out. Yi Qinghan slowly took out the blue dragon dagger from his boots and walked with Yi Qingwu to the Yi family's elite team. The team moved forward quickly and quietly. Everything was in order. 4 months of training and battles had already allowed them to have a very good rapport. This had already allowed them to have a very good tacit understanding. They were already very used to these bloody battles. Even the eyes of many of the Yu clan's women were suffused with a sparrow's desire to try it out. Chapter 99. The Demon Clan squad was made up of members of the Leopard Clan. They were short and had pointy, thin ears that stood up straight. Their eyes were as small as mung beans, but they were constantly moving. Their skin was covered with grayish-white spots. Yi Qinghan and the others were not unfamiliar with the Leopard Clan. They had encountered them in the previous battle. However, this was the first time they had encountered a squad of more than 200 leopards. There was no excessive greeting or nonsense. Of course, they could not understand nonsense. It was said that only the royalty and high-level demon sovereigns of the Demon Clan and the Barbarian Clan could understand the human language. The foreign clans that the squad had encountered in the past few months did not understand the human language. Therefore, when Yi Shisan was about a kilometer away from the Demon Clan squad, he ordered the entire squad to speed up and begin the battle. Then, they prepared to retreat quickly. However, the situation did not seem right. To be more serious, it was very wrong. The Demon Clan squad seemed to have discovered Yi Qinghan and the others when they were about a kilometer away from them. Just as they were about to speed up and start the battle, the Demon Clan squad turned around and fled. What's going on? Yi Qinghan and Yi Shisan looked at each other, somewhat puzzled. There had never been such a situation in the past. They had fought against the Demon Clan and the Barbarian Clan more than a dozen times, but there had never been a Demon Clan member who ran away upon seeing a human squad. Moreover, looking at their formation, they seemed to be running very happily, like a flock of sheep that had seen a lion. They were running rather wildly and without a care for anything else. Apart from him, the other dukes in the squad had not revealed their strength. Why did the Demon Clan run away? Yi Shisan's mind spun rapidly. However, he could not figure out why no matter how hard he thought about it. Therefore, as he ran, he looked carefully at the Demon Clan squad. Everyone speed up and catch up. Send a message to the Hua family. Half of you will harass and delay them, and the other half will be on full alert. The leopard demon sovereign is injured. Don't let them escape. After a while, Yi Shisan finally shouted, a trace of joy flashing in his eyes. When the members of the team heard this, they were all shocked. An injured demon emperor was worth 100 points, and a team without a demon emperor would be able to slaughter them easily, wouldn't it? Therefore, everyone in the squad rushed madly toward the Demon Clan as if they were injected with stimulants. Xiao! On the Demon Clan side, the Hua family's assassins began to make their move after receiving the message. The assassins, who had been lying in ambush near them, constantly flashed, leaving afterimages as they stabbed their swords at the Demon Clan squad. Regardless of the outcome of the attack, his figure flashed and disappeared into thin air. Ah! Oh! Ugh! Following the flashing figures and dazzling sword rays, the Demon Clan squads were constantly being assassinated and stabbed to death. However, this small team of demons did not seem to care. They continued to run madly. As long as the injured demons could still move their legs, they would hold on to their bleeding wounds and run madly. The Demon Clan's formation began to show signs of chaos after the Hua family's assassins' wild stabs. From the initial square formation, it gradually turned into an inverted arrowhead. At the forefront of the arrowhead was the Demon Emperor, whose back was bleeding. As more and more demons were injured, the team's formation began to lengthen. Those with higher cultivation realms, those who were stronger, and those who were not injured ran to the front. As for the weaker ones and the injured ones, they followed behind in a sparse manner. Send an order to Hua Xian. Leave that Demon Emperor behind. Also, ask the Hua family's assassins to specifically stab the Panther Clan's calf. We must leave all of them behind today. Yi Shisan spoke to the messenger beside him as he ran at high speed. He blamed himself for being too careful. If he had ordered his team to attack after receiving the information, they might have already started fighting. He was stunned when he saw the Demon Clan begin to escape. Now, the distance between the two teams had increased. Although it would only take a few minutes for them to catch up with the Demon Clan squad, he had made a mistake in his judgment. Bang! A violent explosion suddenly came from the front and attracted everyone's attention. The explosion happened at the forefront of the Demon Clan squad. It was Hua Xian who had made her move. The Hua family's most powerful warrior was indeed extraordinary. She actually created 9 identical afterimages in the air and stabbed at the Demon Emperor, who was running for his life from 9 different directions. The Demon Emperor seemed to have anticipated this. His short and stout body emitted a purple airflow and collided with Hua Xian's sword. The airflow exploded. Although it did not cause any harm to Hua Xian, it successfully stopped her fatal sword attack. The moment Flower Heart exploded, the deity turned invisible and sneaked away. After the Demon Emperor destroyed the other 8 afterimages, he obviously paused and staggered a little. He took a deep breath and then started running again. The explosion in front of them did not stop the team behind them. Instead, Yi Shisan was excited and increased his speed. He shouted as he ran, "Burn your demonic power. This Demon Clan member is indeed seriously injured. Continue to chase. We will definitely get these 100 points." Swish! Hua Xian appeared again, causing the Demon Emperor to burn his demonic power again to protect himself. On the other hand, the Hua family's assassins also appeared in a flash continuously. They stabbed towards the thighs of the Demon Clansmen that were running at the forefront. Although the Hua family's assassins did not cause much damage, they successfully prevented the Demon Clan members from escaping. Finally, after 2 minutes of chasing, Yi Qinghan and the others finally caught up. Not caring about the injured Demon Clan members, the team directly charged at the back of the Demon Clan. The first to attack was the Feng family swordsman. Rows of flying swords rose into the air and turned into deadly talismans. They hovered in front of the Demon Clan, cutting off their path forward. The members of the Yi family immediately merged with their battle beasts and released their battle aura towards the densest area of the Demon Clan members. Roar! 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 The Demon Clan members saw that their path forward was cut off and that waves of battle aura were continuously flying towards them. When they realized that there was no way they could escape, they finally ignited the blood in their bones. They no longer ran away. Instead, they turned around and screamed. Their soybean-like eyes were bloodshot as they began to attack the team in a frenzy. It was obvious that they knew that there was no way out and wanted to fight to the death. They wanted to fight, but the team of the 4 clans would not give them the chance. The Yu family's woman immediately released a beautiful ray of light and began the first round of spiritual attacks. Immediately after, the members of the Yi family quickly rushed forward and hacked, cutting down a large number of Demon Clan members. Yi 17 and the other vassal realm warriors no longer concealed their strength. Their colorful auras enveloped the entire battlefield, and the battle immediately heated up. The heated battle lasted for more than 10 minutes and ended with the victory of Yi Qinghan's team. 6 vassal realm experts directly joined the battle, ensuring that there was no suspense in this massacre. There were also no fatal injuries. The team began to deal with the aftermath. Yi Qinghan began to get busy. He was already used to collecting corpses after a battle and collecting points. Chapter 100. This demon emperor is quite strong. He actually managed to block several of Mai and Hua Xian's assassination attempts. If it wasn't for Fairy Yu, it wouldn't have been so easy to deal with him. Fairy Yu's charm is boundless. She can even knock out a demon emperor. Yi 17 felt a little happy. The matter with Yi Jiu had made him feel a little less sullen. Looking at the demon emperor's corpse with bulging eyes and a sinister expression, he somewhat gratefully said to Yu Clan's madam, "Yu Clan's madam. Ah, 17, don't flatter me." This demon emperor was clearly seriously injured. He was mentally and physically exhausted by Hua Xian, and his soul was in a mess. Otherwise, how could I have knocked him out so easily? Although Fairy Yu's words were harsh, she clearly enjoyed Yi 17's flattery. Her charming face bloomed into a smile, and her curvaceous body trembled even more violently. "Fairy Yu, I'm afraid 17 has other thoughts. He told me that he has been secretly in love with you for a long time." Hua Xian laughed and teased Yi 17. Yi 17 was obviously not afraid. He secretly smiled and raised his eyebrows. He stared at Aunt Yu's towering chest and said, "Fickle heart has spoken my mind. I'm just afraid that Fairy Yu doesn't like a boorish person like me. How can the two of you just stay there? Many girls in the Moon Tower have told me that the two of you are the most licentious of the 5 clans. I am not an innocent girl who can be deceived with just a few words. If you want to deceive my feelings, you are still far from being able to do so." Fairy Yu rolled her eyes. She was clearly not interested in their teasing. She laughed and scolded them. She twisted her plump buttocks and walked toward the Yu family women. "All right, 17, Hua Xian, stop fooling around. Tidy up and prepare to retreat." Yi 13 glared at Yi 17 and motioned for the two of them to get to work. Yi 17 shook his head and walked away while rubbing his nose. Hua Xian laughed mischievously. Her figure flashed and she sneaked away. However, in less than a quarter of an hour, Hua Xian appeared again. This time, his expression was no longer playful and casual. Instead, it was very gloomy. "Level 1 alert. 3 Demon Clan squads have appeared ahead, 5 kilometers away. Retreat to the south. Level 1 alert. There are 3 Demon Clan squads ahead. Retreat to the south as fast as you can. Level 1 alert. There are 3 Demon Clan squads ahead. Retreat to the south as fast as you can." Hua Xian's voice wasn't loud, but it was sharp and urgent. After shouting 3 times and making sure that everyone heard him, he snuck out. "Ugh!" Hua Xian's urgent and sharp words finally woke everyone up after he shouted them for the 3rd time. They were all in an uproar, not knowing what to do as they looked around in confusion. "What are you looking at? Everyone retreat!" Yi Shisan's face quickly darkened. He didn't care about everyone's expression and shouted. The prestige that Yi Shisan had built up in the team over the past few days began to take effect. Everyone came to their senses and threw away the items in their hands. Yi Qinghan did not care about the small number of points he had yet to collect and quickly gathered with the team. They began to run towards the south in an orderly manner, gradually turning from running into a frantic escape. "Report. There are 3 barbarian clan squads in the south. They are surging in our direction, 5 kilometers away." At the next moment, a member of the Hua family's investigation team brought back another piece of information that shocked the entire small troop. Their swift footsteps halted abruptly. Yi Qinghan and Yi Shisan looked at each other and saw a trace of shock and confusion in each other's eyes. Hua and Fengzi also looked at each other, a little lost and a little confused. Report. There is a demon clan squad in the west. They are suspected to be led by Yao Kaka. They are rushing here, 15 kilometers away. Report. There is a barbarian clan squad in the east. They are rushing here, 10 kilometers away. They seem to be led by Rong Chao. Confirming now. Huh? 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 What happened? What was going on? The team was like an exploding pod of ants. They began to panic, and fear and confusion appeared in everyone's eyes. Were they surrounded? How could they be surrounded? And surrounded by the demon clan and barbarian clan? Looking at the situation, it seemed like the demon clan and barbarian clan had joined forces to trap them here. But how could the demon clan and barbarian clan join forces? Not to mention the blood feud between the two clans, it was impossible for them to join forces. Even if they had joined forces, how could they have appeared so coincidentally and arranged so well? Also, how did they know the exact location of their squad? What right did they have to charge straight at his team? There were many puzzles, many questions, and many questions in the process, but Yishur-san knew that he could not understand, nor did he have the time to think. He only knew that they were in danger now. Extremely dangerous. So dangerous that if they were not careful, the elite squad of the four clans, the future heirs of the four clans, and the seven dukes would all die here today. Next year, this day would be their death anniversary. So he did not ask for the others' opinions and directly gave orders. All troops, listen up. Head southeast as fast as you can. Hua X and Yishur-san bring 10 people from the Hua family to the front. See if you can lure the 3 southern squads away. The rest of the Hua family, disperse. Remember to stay alive. At the same time, Yishur-san quickly transmitted his voice to the dukes. If it did not work, they could only execute the second retreat plan. According to the original plan, if there was no other choice, only the dukes could escape with their young masters and mistresses. In such a tense situation, the dukes did not have any good ideas. They could only see if they could escape. If they could not, they could only abandon their clan members and protect their young masters. Yi Qinghan, Hua Xi and Fengzi, and the others did not speak. They quickly followed the group southeast. The squad could clearly feel the oppressive and suffocating atmosphere. Some of the Yu family women even began to tremble. They knew how serious the situation was. Perhaps in the next second, they would all become cold corpses on the ground. Run! Run at full speed. They could not care less about the weeds and mud on the ground, which had already messed up their clothes. They could not care less about the brambles on the ground that had cut through the skin on their feet. They could not care less about the silk scarves that hung by their ears. They did not even know where to throw them. They knew that if they did not run now, the foreign races around them would tear them to pieces. Damn it! Yi Qinghan spat out a blade of grass from the corner of his mouth and cursed. He looked worriedly at Yu Qingcheng, whose face was flushed due to her slight panting. His complexion was not good at all. Mangon and Yao Kaka had joined forces. They knew where they were. They had surrounded them. Chapter 101. Yi Qinghan knew that his team was very strong. They were strong enough to fight against any team on the Nether Island. However, he also knew who was currently rushing towards his team in a frenzy. He also knew that once they were surrounded, only death awaited them. They would be completely dead without a trace of hope. Death! He was not afraid. He had faced death many times. He was afraid that his sister, who was lying in the mountain behind the Yi family, would never wake up. He was afraid that the people around him would die because of him. If these people died so easily because of him, he was afraid that he would not be able to rest in peace. Therefore, his mood was very complicated. He was very unhappy, very anxious, very confused, and did not know what to feel. Bang! Bang! There was a sound of an explosion in front of them. Everyone's eyes flashed a glimmer of hope. If Yi-17 and Hua Xin could lead the 3 teams away, then they might have a way out. At least there was a chance to escape, right? However, a moment later, Hua Xin and Yi-17, who looked gloomy and embarrassed, made their mood fall to the bottom. There are 4 barbarian kings in front of us. We can't lead them away. They seem to know where we are going. We will meet in 3 minutes. Hua Xian's words caused everyone who was running to stop in their tracks. Their faces were completely gloomy. 600 people for barbarian kings? They would meet in 3 minutes? Yi 13th did not think much. His eyes were bloodshot, the corners of his mouth twitched, and he roared with a ferocious expression. Forget it. Forward, if you encounter the barbarians. Rush over and execute the first retreat plan. Kill, kill, kill. A trace of blood flashed in the eyes of all the members, and they took out their weapons. Without the slightest hesitation, they rushed forward madly. The first retreat plan was already known to everyone. That was in a situation of absolute danger. The whole team disregarded everything, disregarded any casualties, did not hesitate to fight, and did not conserve their strength. They charged forward with all their might, and their main goal was to break out of the encirclement and survive. Of course, it was up to God whether they could survive or not. They all knew that they had no other way out. The 3 barbarian squads in front of them were actually not that scary. If they had the time, they could definitely fight against the 3 barbarian squads head-on and win. But they didn't have time. Once the 2 super elite teams and the 3 demon teams caught up to them, there would only be one outcome. They would be completely annihilated. Not even half of their lives would be spared. Since the super elites of the 4 clans could be called super elites by the various clans, and since they could obtain such cultivation at such a young age, none of them were idiots. Therefore, when he first realized that he was surrounded, there was a brief moment of confusion and fear. However, after a few minutes, he heard Yi Shisan's hysterical roar. They quickly regained their composure and thought through everything. In a short period of time, everyone's fighting spirit soared. Since there was no way out, he could only rely on the saber and sword in his hands to open a path. Charge! Charge! The team surged forward in a frenzied manner. Even the women of the Yu clan pulled out their daggers, their eyes burning with passion as they dashed forward. Not a single one of them showed any emotion of fear, and not a single one of them showed any confusion in their eyes. There was only an indomitable super battle intent. Yao Kaka was in a good mood, although the running made him sweat a little, and he didn't feel very comfortable. However, he couldn't help but feel better when he thought about how the plan that the 3 clans had worked together to carry out was finally going to be a success. The target was right in front. To be more precise, the sacred weapon and 2 Qinjuan's favor were right in front of them. Furthermore, they had already been surrounded. They were just waiting for him to go over and reap the spoils at will. Hurry, hurry, hurry! Speed up! Don't let the barbarians snatch it away. That's a head worth a sacred weapon. Look at the target's image clearly. Once you discover him, don't worry about anything else. Just kill him first. Yao Kaka flung his golden curls as he roared at the team behind him. My lord, the target is heading south. He is escaping in the direction of the 3 small teams under Mangon. At that moment, a lady from the Fox clan beside him held a transparent crystal ball in her hands and shouted. There was a red dot in the transparent crystal ball that was constantly moving in the opposite direction. It was very strange. When Yao Kaka heard this, he quickly turned his head and looked at the crystal ball in the lady's hands. He realized that the red dot was constantly moving. He cursed anxiously. Huh? Why isn't he running towards us? Damn it! Don't let Mangon's subordinates kill him. Faster, faster. Bang! Bang! Roar! The sound of battle chi tearing through the air rang out in the distance. There were already countless angry roars, indicating that the teams of the 4 clans had already clashed with the 3 barbarian teams. The deafening sound and the terrifying explosion caused Yao Kaka to feel a little anxious. He had planned for many days and waited for an entire night. Today, he finally had an excellent opportunity. If he let them escape this time, it would be hard to find another opportunity like this again. Thus, his expression darkened. He increased his speed again and began to run with all his might. He believed that as long as the barbarian teams could delay the elite teams of the 4 clans for a moment, he would be able to completely kill them all and turn them into minced meat on the ground. Yi 13th was in a bad mood. He felt as turbulent as the battle chi explosion in front of him. The combined attacks of his 7 marquee and 200 marshals were actually unable to break through the human wall in front of them. He looked at the barbarians in front of him, who were like rows of stone pillars, and felt the countless demons and barbarians surging towards him from behind. He became even more anxious. He roared loudly, "Damn it, aren't they afraid of death? If they aren't afraid of death, then kill them all." 2 minutes ago, they had all raised their swords in high spirits and were ready to go all out. Unexpectedly, they encountered the human wall in front of them. The 300 barbarians seemed to have already predicted their arrival. They had actually formed a fan-shaped defensive formation in advance and used the human wall to completely block off the 3 escape routes in front of them. The 4 barbarian emperors stood in front of them like 4 mountains. Behind them, rows of barbarian elites stood behind them, eyeing them like tigers watching their prey. Their defenses were fully activated and blocked off all the escape routes. The moment Yishur-san saw this formation, he knew that if he tried to forcefully charge in one direction with this formation and the barbarians' extremely strong defense, he would be completely surrounded by the 600 barbarians like dumplings wrapped in a dumpling. Let's not talk about whether or not they would be able to escape before the demon race and barbarian race arrived. Even if they could, at least 2/3 of the team would remain here forever. Thus, he immediately gave the order for all the elites to release their battle chi and attack in one direction. His idea was not wrong. The power of the battle chi attack of over 200 people was indeed very strong. One attack could sweep a path forward. As long as the barbarians dodged or were attacked until their formation was messed up, they would have the opportunity to use their speed to charge out of the encirclement. Chapter 102. However, the barbarians fought with their lives on the line. They didn't care about their casualties and stubbornly withstood the first round of attacks. Although they suffered heavy casualties, their formation wasn't chaotic at all. Instead, it was very orderly. A path was quickly blocked by the barbarians on both sides. The injured barbarians continued to stand firm and stubbornly, trembling. The dead or crippled barbarians were quickly carried away by the barbarians next to them. The barbarians didn't fall into disarray. They continued to stand in front of them like rows of stone pillars. The barbarians were using human lives to buy time. They were using living flesh and blood to block the escape route of the 4 clans. Attack the original attacking areas without holding back. Foam Clan, use your swords to pierce the eyes. You Clan, use your illusions. Everyone else, release your battle chi. Yishur-san's expression was ferocious as he roared. His hands and feet didn't miss a beat. His battle chi turned into a huge spear, and he shot it straight at the barbarians. "Damn it. You'll have to pay with your lives if you want to keep us here." Countless small swords appeared on the backs of the 2 Foam Clan experts at the same time. They whistled forward with a boundless aura and stabbed at the barbarians in front of them. Fengzi was very excited without a trace of fear or timidity. His huge black sword was like a reaper's chain, taking away one barbarian after another. His eyes were bloodshot as he roared with laughter. "Damn it, I'll die like a bird in the sky. Brothers, let's CK them up. Let's kill them all." For a moment, the front was filled with battle chi. Countless flying swords shuttled back and forth, occasionally causing a series of explosions. Countless barbarians fell, but countless more barbarians rushed over. No one was cleaning up the corpses in front of them. They were piled up in a mess, but the line of defense didn't seem to have been broken. Yishur-san once again shot out a cyan spear. Looking back at the surging red dust not far behind him, he sighed helplessly and waved his hand. Exchanging glances with several marquee realm experts from various clans, he issued an extremely unwilling order. "Everyone charge. Execute the second retreat plan." The second retreat plan. Yi Qinghan's expression turned ashen when he heard these words. Fengzi, Yu Qingcheng, and Yi Qingwu's expression also became extremely ugly. The second retreat plan was for the entire team to charge forward and fight to the death. They covered the escape of a few dukes with the young masters of the various families. In the current situation, if they carried out the second retreat plan, Then apart from them and the marquee realm experts who might be lucky enough to escape with their lives, everyone else would basically die in battle. No! Wait. Yi Qinghan kept shaking his head as he released his battle chi in the form of huge palms and waved them forward crazily. He knew very well that these people, these elite disciples of the four great clans, were here because of him. It was because of him that they had come to such a chaotic battlefield and fallen into such a tragic and desperate situation. If these 200 people all died because of him, he would never be able to rest easy for the rest of his life. Therefore, Zhang Tai uttered unconsciously as he released his sparse battle chi in a disorderly manner. Execute! Yi Shursen coldly swept his gaze over the elite disciples of the Yi family and nodded to Yi 17. He leapt forward and moved to Yi Qinghan's side. He lifted Yi Qinghan with one hand and released his battle chi to the fullest. A green aura bloomed from his body as he waved his hand forward and roared, "Everyone, charge!" As soon as Yi Shursen moved, the dukes also moved, quickly bringing the young masters and young ladies with them. They released their auras and roared at the same time, "Charge! Charge! Charge!" The 200 elite disciples roared at the same time. They had been trained by their families for many years, and as the saying goes, soldiers are trained for 1,000 days to be used in a single moment. Now was the time for them to repay the kindness of their families. Knowing that there was no way out, and with the determination to die, they collectively released an unprecedented battle intent. The entire team was like a torrent of steel, crashing toward the barbarians. Roar! Roar! The barbarians immediately reacted. The remaining few hundred people quickly gathered together and waved their fists and giant clubs at the four family teams that were swarming toward them. The battle immediately became white-hot. It was either you die or I live. As long as you live, I'm invincible. Bang, bang. Just as the group of barbarians was about to collide, something unexpected happened, causing the four family teams to tremble. Behind the small team of barbarians, waves of battle chi flew out of thin air. They were densely packed and colorful. It was a spectacular sight. As expected, the battle chi directly smashed into the barbarian squad that was about to collide with the squads of the four clans. Immediately after, a black torrent abruptly pierced into the barbarian squad from behind. It was like a sharp iron spear, fiercely stabbing into them, causing chaos. It's our people. Reinforcements are here. Retreat plan number 2. Retreat plan number 1. We're invincible. Everyone charge. A hint of joy flashed in Yi Shursan's eyes, and his aura became even more dazzling. With a long roar, he sped forward like a ferocious tiger. Yi, it's Yi and the others. We're saved. Everyone kill. Yi Qinghan looked at the group of black-clothed men in front of him like a group of lions pouncing on a flock of sheep. Yi and the others in front of him were no match for them. His face instantly lit up with ecstasy. Holding the blue dragon dagger, he followed closely behind Yi Shursan and used the shadow step to charge into the barbarian team. Yi and the others' powerful reinforcements finally caused chaos among the barbarians, who were already low in morale. Under the lead of Yi Shursan and the other 6 marquee realm experts, the barbarians were attacked from both sides and finally fell into complete chaos. However, with the loud roars of the 4 barbarian kings, they barely managed to deal with the battle. Shursan, what the hell are you fighting for? Do you want to die here together? Break out quickly. We'll bring up the rear. Yi waved the Zamadeo in his hand, and the purple saber radiance sent a barbarian flying. He raised his head and roared at Yi Shursan, who was fighting the barbarians. Yi Shursan was slightly taken aback by Yi's roar. He looked at Yi's furious eyes and immediately understood what Yi meant. He could not help but call out hesitantly, "Big brother? Third brother? Ninth brother? 11th brother?" Seeing Yi Shursan's hesitation and somewhat bashful call, Yi became even angrier. He ruthlessly split a barbarian in half from head to toe and roared with bulging eyes, "Hurry up and leave. If the elites of the 4 clans die here, How are you going to explain yourself to the patriarch? If anything happens to the young masters and ladies, none of us will be able to atone for it. Hurry up and scram. Sure, San, hurry up and leave. Ninth brother, I'm here to settle scores with Yao Kaka. I'll find you for a drink later. Yi Jio's left sleeve was empty, but his right hand was wielding a black gold saber. He laughed wildly and shouted heroically. Chapter 103. Everyone listen to my command. Don't fight. Break out of the encirclement together. Kill. Yi Shursen roared. He knew that this was not the time to be pretentious. The main force behind them was about to catch up. If they didn't leave now, they would all die here. Yi was right. It didn't matter if they died. But if the elites or young masters of the other families stayed here, all of them would not be able to atone for their sins. He could only suppress the grief and helplessness in his heart. He reluctantly gave the order for the whole team to break out of the encirclement. Kill! Yi Shursan didn't say much. He looked at Yi and the others deeply. The saber in his hand turned into a blue saber chi that broke through the air and slashed several barbarians in front of him. Let's go! Yi Qinghan didn't say much. He looked at Yi Jio with bloodshot eyes. Then he pulled Yi Qingwu and followed behind Yi Shursan and Yi Shursan. Let's go! Hua Xian and Feng Ming looked at each other and saw the helplessness and bitterness in each other's eyes. They led Hua and Feng Zi in a killing frenzy. 1 minute later, Yi and the others attacked with all their might. The four families' teams paid a small price to break out of the encirclement. They ignored the chaotic battle behind them and ignored the barbarians who were roaring angrily. They all ran for their lives. Bang, bang, bang. The battle behind them became more and more intense. The barbarians tried to send people to chase after them several times, but they were stopped by Yi and the others. They couldn't help but vent all their anger on Yi and the others. Yi and the others also knew that they would die. They all killed madly with the mentality of killing one to break even and two to make a profit. Full speed ahead. Yi Shursan resisted the strong desire to turn back. He closed his eyes and ran madly. His voice was full of bitterness and anger. He knew that the danger had not been resolved. Yao Kaka and the others were still behind him. He didn't want to waste the chance to escape that Yi and the others had exchanged their lives for. He suppressed the pain and sorrow and commanded the team to run. Boom! After a few minutes, they had already run for more than 10 miles. Suddenly, there was a violent explosion and a shocking roar behind them. Big brother! Yi-17 finally couldn't help but look back and let out a heart-wrenching roar. The entire team turned their heads to take a look. They saw the chaos in the world caused by the terrifying energy explosion. They looked at the billowing smoke behind them and listened to the violent explosions and angry roars. Everyone fell silent, and their sprinting footsteps paused for a moment. They all knew that Yao Kaka and Bruggan's team were already facing off against Yi's team, but Yi had actually chosen to self-detonate. Such a powerful explosion and such chaotic heaven-earth yuan qi could only be triggered by the self-detonation of countless martial artists. What are you standing there for? Do you want them to die with everlasting regret? Everyone run! Hua family, investigate with all your might. Yi Shursan's voice was cold, and his face was covered in frost. Xiao. Everyone began to silently march, turning their grief, anger, and pain into energy to run. Even the women of the Yu family did not care about their image and began to run. Some were injured and had to be carried. Some were unconscious and had to be carried by 2 people. Some were crying silently, pursing their lips and lowering their heads as they ran. Yi Qinghan's face was as white as snow, no longer ashen like before. There was no pain, no grief, and only a deathly gray look in his eyes as he lowered his head. Run! There was no emotion, no sound, no extra movement. Everyone was like a group of busy ants on the ground, running in the forest, in the canyon, and on the river. Report! The Demon Clan and Brute Clan teams are now 30 miles away from us. They are chasing us in a straight line. Report! The 50 miles ahead is safe. We will reach the temporary stronghold of the House of Aries in about an hour. The Hua family assassins were the busiest. They went back and forth to investigate, patrol, and run. Fortunately, the Hua family's speed was definitely the best among their peers. Otherwise, just running alone would have exhausted them to death. As expected, Yi Yi's group was completely annihilated. However, they had bought a whole 10 minutes for the four clans' small teams, allowing them to widen the dangerous distance between them to 30 miles. After Yao Kaka and Mangan had flattened Yi Yi's small team, they were obviously unwilling to let their prey escape. After killing Yi Yi and a few other dukes, they quickly organized their men and madly chased after Yi Qinghan's small team. Yi Yi's sudden arrival had torn apart the large net that they had meticulously laid out and resolved the death trap that they had set up. This had allowed Yi Qinghan's cooked duck to escape. Furthermore, they had self-destructed before dying, causing the Demon Clan and Brute Clan to suffer even greater losses. This also caused Yao Kaka and Mangan to stomp their feet in anger and curse. They swore that they would not turn back until they had flattened the four clans' small teams. Thus, an unprecedented chase began. Both sides' speed had reached its peak. Both sides were panicking and did not know where they were going. They climbed mountains, waded through rivers, and burrowed into holes. This won't do. 13. We have injured people, and we have just gone through 2 battles. We are no match for the Demon Clan and Brute Clan in terms of physical strength, battle force, and morale. If this continues, they will catch up to us in 10 minutes. Hua Xian's steps were still light, but the worry on her face was very obvious. I know, but other than running, what else can we do? How can the Demon Clan and Brute Clan know our whereabouts like the back of their hands? This doesn't make sense. The grief on Yi 13's face was still very obvious. However, after 10 minutes of adjustment, he had recovered a little. The dead were already dead. He had to think of the living. He had to think of a way to bring the remaining 100 people back safely. Hua Xian was also baffled. She said in confusion, "Who knows what kind of witchcraft the Demon Clan and Brute Clan have mastered? How can they know our whereabouts? Something like this had never happened before. Damn it, we are in big trouble this time. Let's try our best to speed up. Hopefully, we will encounter the House of Aries' team when we reach the temporary stronghold. Or maybe Yao Kaka and Mangan should retreat in advance." Yi 13 was silent for a while. He could not come up with any ideas. He could only shake his head helplessly. The crazy chase continued. The two sides were indeed getting closer and closer. After chasing for half an hour, the distance between the two squads was only slightly more than 10 kilometers. However, after half an hour of crazy running, the temporary stronghold of the House of Aries was not far away. If they continued at this speed, Yao Kaka and Mangan would probably be close to the temporary stronghold of the House of Aries, even if they caught up with the teams of the four families. In that area, they could encounter the elite teams of the House of Aries at any time. Moreover, the temporary stronghold had a large number of teams of the House of Aries. If they were to engage in battle, they would attract the army of the House of Aries. Yao Kaka and Mangan would probably die. However, in the next second, the elite scouts of the Hua family brought back a piece of news that brought everyone's mood to rock bottom. Chapter 104. For small teams of demons and barbarians had appeared in front of them. They were fanning out towards them. History repeated itself. Everyone looked at each other in shock. They looked blankly at the sky and scanned their surroundings. It was as if there was a pair of invisible eyes coldly watching them from the sky. That pair of invisible hands seemed to be arranging everything behind their backs, as if to kill them here and now. K them. I don't believe it. Everyone, turn around and flee to the west. The demons and barbarians have caused such a huge commotion. They must have attracted the attention of the House of Aries. Let's hold on a little longer. Reinforcements will probably arrive soon. Yi 13's expression was no longer sorrowful. Instead, it was sullen, terrified, bitter, and helpless. Today's situation was beyond his ability. He felt powerless to reverse the situation. Their small team was unparalleled and could face any small team on Nether Island head-on. The four families' heaven-defying special skills, their practiced and tacit cooperation, and the seven marquee of the team were extremely powerful. But today, he felt as if he was an ant that could be easily smacked and crushed. Moreover, the demon race and the barbarian race had joined forces for the first time. They had suddenly surrounded him in a strange and chilling manner. His whereabouts, which he could not figure out no matter how hard he tried, had been exposed. Everything made him shudder. He was at his wit's end. The strange movements of the barbarians and demons were very obvious. He also hoped that the House of Ares would notice the abnormal situation here. He also knew that as long as Long Sinan was not an idiot, she would definitely come to help immediately. However, today's abnormality came so suddenly and strangely that he didn't have the slightest confidence in his heart. He could only hope that Long Sinan's performance was as wise and decisive as ever. No! A crisp voice suddenly rang out. It was very decisive and resolute, causing the somewhat confused group to suddenly awaken. They looked towards the source of the voice in surprise. Let's go east. We can't put all our hopes on Long Sinan. The one who spoke was Yi Qinghan, who had been very quiet along the way. At this time, Yi Qinghan's face was still pale, but his eyes were shining like the blazing sun in broad daylight, making people not dare to look him in the eye. Yi Qinghan's eyes were cold like lightning. He said coldly, "Let's head east. Do you still remember the valley where we encountered the Silver Moon twin-headed wolf? If I remember correctly, it's just a few miles to the east. There are a lot of teleportation arrays there, and there's a Silver Moon two-headed wolf there. Head east. Go to the valley where the Silver Moon two-headed wolf lives." Was Yi Qinghan crazy? When everyone heard Yi Qinghan's words, their first reaction was to think that Yi Qinghan had gone mad. Behind them, there were tigers and wolves chasing after them, but he said that in front of them, there was a Silver Moon two-headed wolf, an upper 8th grade magical beast that was even more terrifying than the demon race and barbarian race pursuing them. Wasn't this the same as hanging himself? Was he tired of living? But Yi Qinghan wasn't crazy, and the team wasn't stupid. The first to react were the few marquee. Yi Shisan's eyes suddenly lit up. He looked at Hua Xian and Feng Meng and smiled coldly. He shouted, "Yes. Head east. Head east. Everyone, change direction. Our target is the valley where the Silver Moon two-headed wolf is." The entire team began to change direction and began to secretly discuss as they ran. After a while, all the elites began to understand what was going to happen next, and a fiery light appeared in their eyes. When Yao Kaka and Mangon found out that the team of the four clans had suddenly turned east through the transparent crystal ball, they didn't feel the slightest bit strange or astonished. Instead, they collectively roared in joy. The four teams of Demon Race and Barbarian Race in front of the four clans were the last chess pieces they had arranged beforehand. Their goal was to change the escape route of the four clans. After all, if the four clans had continued to escape in the direction of the House of Ares, they would have caught up to them and killed them. This would definitely take a while, and this time would be enough for the hateful woman from the House of Ares to arrange everything and make them stay there. So when they found out that the four clans were escaping east, they were very pleased and delighted. Yao Kaka and Mangon each led 400 people in hot pursuit. The two teams were separated by a few hundred meters, but they turned at the same time and rushed east. They knew that their prey was about to fall into their hands. Based on the people in their hands, none of the teams could completely annihilate the four clans. Of course, as for this fat sheep, it would depend on each team's strength and luck as to which family would get the holy weapon in the end. Later, we'll catch up to them. You two take down the target first. I'll reward you handsomely when we get back. Yao Kaka said to the two members of the snake race as he ran with all his might. His golden curly hair swayed, and his cold eyes were filled with cruelty. On the side of the barbarian race, a relatively short and bald barbarian wearing golden leather armor in the middle also began to instruct a few tall and big men beside him at the same time. When you meet the target, whether it's the human race or the demon race, as long as it dares to obstruct you, smash it to pieces. The voice of the bald barbarian with golden skin was calm, but there was a hint of dignity and arrogance in it. The barbarians beside him did not dare to refute or ask any questions, and at the same time, they expressed that they understood. The other barbarian next to him held a transparent crystal ball that looked like a toy in his huge claw hand. He leaned over and pointed at the red dot on the crystal ball in his hand, saying, "Young clan leader, the target is slowly decelerating. Is there any conspiracy? Who cares what conspiracy he has? Chase after them and flatten them." The bald barbarian in golden armor waved his hand, unconcerned, and continued to run with his thick and long legs. "Everyone, withdraw your battle aura and move forward with your physical bodies. Form groups of 5, and each find a transportation matrix. Stay where you are. Hua family disciples, use all your strength to investigate the surrounding situation. Hua Xen, you go, and keep an eye on that Silver Moon Wolf. If there's any abnormal movement, quickly teleport away." Yi Shur-san withdrew his aura and said softly as he lightened his footsteps. Under Yi Shur-san's arrangement, the small team was divided into their own groups. All of them withdrew their aura and began to cautiously walk into the canyon. The canyon was still the same, gloomy and gloomy. Both sides of the canyon were still densely covered with old vines and weeds. When Yi Qinghan suggested to go east toward this canyon, Yi Shur-san immediately reacted. This was a path of survival, and if used well, it could also be a path of revenge. Yi Shur-san knew that Yi Qinghan wanted to use the dense transportation matrix here to escape. Moreover, he wanted to use the 8th-grade magical beast, the Silver Moon Wolf, not far from the transportation matrix, to severely injure the demon clan and the barbarians who were chasing after them. This was to avenge the tragic deaths of Yi Yi and the others. Therefore, along the way, he quickly thought through all the details and quickly arranged everything. He wanted to strive for a perfect escape and teach the demon clan and the barbarians a painful lesson. Chapter 105. Although this canyon was the territory of the two-headed Silver Moon Wolf, it was obvious that this wolf was very lazy, or perhaps it could be said that it was very lazy. Last time, the team of 200 people rumbled in the canyon for a long time. In the end, when Hua Xin tried to enter its cave, it released a stream of air and sent Hua Xin flying. Moreover, it didn't seem to chase after them. Therefore, Yi Shur-san was very confident that they could successfully approach the teleportation array and escape. Of course, to be on the safe side, he told the team to retract their battle auras and move forward cautiously so as not to alarm the terrifying overlord in the depths of the cave. More than 10 minutes later, they successfully arrived at the teleportation array area. The information they received was good. The Monster Clan and Barbarian Clan were still 10 miles away, and the Silver Moon Wolf was still in its cave abode. There were 41 teleportation arrays, so there was still space for 5 people to teleport. The team began to squat next to each teleportation array according to their groups, waiting for Yi Shur-san's order to teleport out together. Everyone listen up. When the teleportation circle opens, everyone will be sent to different locations in the psychedelic forest. I've marked out 10 points on the map. Everyone will gather at these 10 points according to the map. The final gathering point will be the temporary base camp and the temporary stronghold in the disordered territory. The only mission I'm giving you is to successfully survive until we meet again. After the battle, the Yi family will definitely reward you generously. Yi Shur-san's low voice began to resound. Every 5 people began to split up into a map with 10 coordinates marked with red dots. Finally, everyone began to bid farewell to each other. This teleportation might directly teleport you to the temporary stronghold of the House of Ares, near the Monster Clan, or even to the center of the Barbarian Clan's team. Everything was random. Whether one could survive or not depended on the will of the heavens. The Monster Clan and Barbarian Clan had used some kind of spell to predict their whereabouts in advance. The way back to the temporary stronghold of the House of Ares in the disordered battlefield was blocked. Their team had the relatively weak Yu family girl and more than 10 injured people. If they continued to escape using the old method, they would be caught and slaughtered. Moreover, under such a strange situation, who knew if there were other monster clan and barbarian clan teams lying in ambush ahead, waiting for them to take the bait? Therefore, teleporting away through the teleportation array was the best option at this time. Moreover, there was an upper 8th level Silvermoon double-headed wolf nearby. It was just the right time for them to take revenge for being hunted down and Yi and the others being slaughtered. Of course, they chose this path without hesitation. The four families team suddenly stopped moving, attracting the attention of Yao Kaka and Mangon. This caused them to hesitate slightly as they ran with all their might. But after a while, they started running again. The four squads on the left quickly converged with them, and a few more squads were rushing over from behind. Such unprecedented battle prowess gave them great confidence. They believed that even if Longsign led a few teams from the House of Ares there to ambush them, they would not be afraid. This time, they had brought along half of the elites of the demon race and the barbarian race. They believed that even if there was a dragon in front of them, they would be able to beat it to the ground. Of course, there were no giant dragons. There was only a level 8 Silvermoon double-headed wolf. The canyon was located near the temporary base of the House of Ares, and it was quite secluded. Therefore, the barbarian race and the demon race did not have any information. When they found out from the transparent crystal ball that their target was in the canyon in front of them, they did not hesitate. They had no time to hesitate. Instead, they frantically rushed into the canyon. But when they finally saw the famous Silvermoon double-headed wolf face to face, they were collectively stunned. When they rushed into the canyon, they saw more than 100 sneering faces and countless brilliant lights. Then, behind the lights, there was an earth-shaking roar, and they saw a ferocious silver-white beast with 2 huge heads. The light was the light of the teleportation array being activated. The beast was the Silvermoon double-headed wolf that Hua Xin had lured out with a palm strike towards the cave in the distance before she flashed into the teleportation array. Looking at the empty canyon, they could feel the piercingly cold and furious aura from the barbarian double-headed wolf. Mangon and Yao Kaka licked their dry lips at the same time and cursed in unison. Then they turned around and started running. Their speed was even faster than before. A few minutes ago, they were still swearing that they could even smash a giant dragon into the ground. But when they really saw a double-headed wolf that was 1 level lower than a giant dragon, they finally understood what fear was, what pressure was, what aura was, what coldness was. The two of them could retreat, but the people beside them could not. The barbarian race and the demon race teams could not retreat. The teams quickly split into a line. A barbarian king and a demon emperor brought Yao Kaka and Mangon respectively and retreated quickly. The strong warriors beside Yao Kaka and Mangon roared in anger and pounced towards the Silvermoon double-headed wolf. The barbarian race and the demon race teams followed the strong warriors and pressed forward. They knew that this was a terrifying demonic beast that could make them tremble in fear with just its aura. They definitely could not fight against it. If they charged forward, they would definitely die. However, they also knew that if their master died, then they would definitely die as well. Moreover, their families would also die. Either way, they would definitely choose to die by themselves, and they would die unwillingly. Bang, bang, bang. As expected, the Silvermoon double-headed wolf revealed a mocking smile in its 4 cold eyes that were the size of copper hammers. Then, the 2 wolf heads opened up at the same time, and 2 different air currents rushed out. One of them was gray, and it exuded a threatening, cold aura. It was red hot, and the heat wave rushed to the sky. The 2 air currents slowly flew towards the sky. When the strong warriors of the barbarian race and the demon race came close, the 2 air currents suddenly blended together. Then, a violent explosion occurred, and the 5 strong warriors who rushed forward were all blown away. The 3 barbarian kings of the barbarian race were fine. Their defense was very strong, and they only suffered some minor internal injuries. Their organs were shaken to the point that their positions were shifted. The 2 demon emperors of the demon race fell to the ground and could not get up. Both of them were blown beyond recognition. They had been severely injured in just one move. Hiss! The monster race and the barbarian race sucked in a breath of cold air at the same time. Originally, the elites who had wanted to catch up to the experts and kill the magical beasts all froze in place and staggered back 2 steps. Then, they remembered that Mangon and Yao Kaka had not escaped to a safe distance. They could not help but tremble and stop retreating as they stared at the terrifying monster in front of them in fear. Chapter 106. Whoosh! The 2-headed silver-moon wolf clearly did not have much patience. It opened its mouth and spat out 2 streams of air that were even larger than before. The 2 streams of air shot towards the demons and barbarians blocking the way. The red and gray streams of air did not mix again, so there was no explosion. However, the damage caused was even more obvious. The gray streams of air passed through the small group of demons and froze the hundreds of people on the left into ice sculptures. Meanwhile, the red streams of air ignited a monstrous fire on the barbarian side. The entire group was like a grassland that had been ravaged by magma. Whoa! The 2-headed silver-moon wolf was very satisfied with its battle record and killing power. It was also very satisfied with the fear and respect in the eyes of the demons and barbarians. It let out a proud howl and slowly walked towards the entrance of its cave while twisting its huge butt. In order to teach these little insects a lesson, it had wasted the energy it had accumulated for many days. Now that it had achieved its goal and the insects had lowered their heads, of course it would walk away in disdain. Standing at the entrance of the canyon, Mangon and Yao Kaka met up with the barbarians and demons who had hurried over. They looked at the barbarians and demons who had lost more than half of their members and were frantically escaping the canyon. Their eyes were filled with anger and hatred. Taking the crystal ball from the hands of the demon beside him, Yao Kaka saw that the red dot on the surface was still flashing. He gritted his golden teeth and laughed sinisterly. Chase after them. If I don't tear this damned human into pieces, I won't be able to vent my hatred. Chase after them. Mangon did not say much. He only looked coldly at the red dot on the crystal ball and uttered a single word. Where is this? Yi Qinghan looked at Yi 13th, Yi 17th, and Yi Qingwu beside him and scanned their surroundings vigilantly. They found that they had been teleported to a quiet valley. The valley was very large and lush with trees. There was even a small lake in the middle of the valley. Don't speak. Yi 13 stretched out his hand to stop Yi Qinghan from speaking. His expression was solemn, and he looked slightly nervous. Yi 17th had also taken out a long saber from behind his back after teleporting over, and nervously looked around. Yi Qingwu slightly twisted her graceful body and responded softly. She blinked her big eyes and looked around curiously. However, after looking at it for a moment, she asked in a low voice with some doubt, 13, is it really safe? Why are you so nervous? Yi Shisan was still nervously looking to the left. He didn't respond to Yi Qingwu's words and only exchanged a glance with Yi Shisan. Seeing Yi 17 nod with a wry smile, Yi 17's face couldn't help but turn ashen. What's inside the valley? Yi Qinghan sensed that something was wrong with their expressions and asked in a low voice. We all sensed a powerful magical beast in the valley, and its strength was no weaker than the silver moon 2-headed wolf. Yi Shisan shook his head as if he had run into a ghost. He had just escaped from the wolf's den, and now he was teleported to the tiger's den. His luck was really terrible. Ah! Yi Qingwu exclaimed in a low voice and hurriedly covered her mouth with her hands. Her eyes were filled with horror. The silver moon 2-headed wolf was an upper 8th grade magical beast. How could they be so unlucky to be teleported to the lair of another high-grade magical beast? She took 2 deep breaths and calmed her emotions. Then, she lowered her voice again and said, Then, do we teleport away again? No. The teleportation array has a cooldown time. We can't hope to teleport away in half an hour. Don't move and don't make a sound. If we lure out the magical beast in the valley, we will all be finished. God bless us. It didn't notice us. Yi Shisan wiped the cold sweat off his forehead and forced himself to calm down. Then, he carefully looked around again. Yi Qinghan and Yi Qingwu didn't speak anymore and silently began to carefully look around again. Roar! However, a loud roar suddenly came from the left side of the valley. The four of them, who had been very careful and didn't dare to make a sound, were so shocked that their legs turned to jelly and they almost fell to the ground. A dragon's roar? We've been discovered? Yi Shisan's eyes widened and the hairs on his body stood on end. He released his battle aura and reached out to grab Yi Qinghan to escape. Don't move. Wait. Yi Shisan also grabbed Yi Qingwu and started to run. But just as he lifted his leg, he seemed to discover something and hurriedly reached out to stop Yi Shisan. Shisan? Yi Shisan looked at Yi Shisan in confusion. Roar! Roar! Unexpectedly, another dragon's roar came from the left side of the valley. Yi Shisan was so shocked that he fell to the ground again. He looked to the left nervously, and the saber in his hand emitted a fiery saber light. He was ready to fight at any time. Shisan, quickly retract your battle aura. The magical beast didn't discover us. Although Yi Qinghan was also shocked by the earth-shattering dragon's roar, he quickly calmed down. At this moment, he finally saw some clues and quickly whispered to Yi Shisan. Huh? Yi Shisan was stunned. He quickly retracted his battle aura and crouched down. He stuck close to Yi Shisan and looked to the left side of the valley. After a short period of panic, he finally realized what was going on. Only a giant dragon could roar. Although the valley was very big, a giant dragon could reach it in the blink of an eye. And at this moment, the giant dragon was still roaring. It probably wasn't because of them, so they were relatively safe for the time being. However, if they ran with all their might, they would definitely attract the attention of the giant dragon on the left side of the valley. Then, no matter how fast they ran, they would still die. But dragons were at least 8th-rank magical beasts. In the same valley, Yi Shisan and Yi Shisan could feel the supreme dragon's might. Why didn't the giant dragon notice them? Why didn't it immediately crush them into minced meat? Instead, it kept roaring? What should they do? The temporary safety didn't make Yi Shisan and Yi Shisan, who had been crawling on the line between life and death for many years, feel any relief or happiness. In the Yi family, they had gone on many missions and faced many dangers. They had also danced at the fingertips of the Grim Reaper many times. More than 10 minutes ago, they had also encountered the most dangerous adventure since they came to Nether Island. But they had never felt so helpless and helpless as they did at this moment. Half an hour ago, they learned that they were surrounded by the barbarians and demons. They were surrounded by hundreds of barbarians and demons. They were very helpless and anxious, but they knew that if they wanted to, they could take the two young masters in front of them and escape at any time. At this moment, they were not facing thousands of troops, but only a powerful magical beast that they had never seen before. But they didn't dare to move, and they couldn't move. They had no confidence that they could successfully escape from the giant dragon in the valley. Chapter 107. However, what should they do if they didn't move? Continue to wait and wait for the transportation matrix to reopen? Wait for the dragon to get tired of roaring and then fall asleep? Obviously, this wasn't a good way to go. Furthermore, they seemed to have a vague feeling that the giant on the left side of the valley had already discovered them. Or perhaps it had already discovered them the moment they were teleported over? However, they didn't dare to take the risk. Nor could they. After all, they were betting on 4 lives and the future of the Yi family. Run. It definitely wouldn't be safe. If they didn't run, it would probably be very dangerous. At this moment, Yi Shisan and Yi 17 were extremely anxious. Like ants on a frying pan, Shisan observed the valley on the right carefully. At this moment, Yi Qinghan, who had been watching coldly from the side, spoke up. His voice was very soft but very firm. This caused the disorderly Yi Shisan and Yi 17 to shiver and turn to look hopefully at Yi Qinghan, wanting to hear if he had any ideas. Yi Qingwu, who had been pretending to be calm, also looked at Yi Qinghan in surprise and excitement. She then looked towards the right side of the valley with some doubt, but didn't see anything special. Do you think there will be 2 dragons in this psychedelic forest? Yi Qinghan's words didn't give any ideas, and the contents of his words were somewhat nonsensical. However, the frowning Yi Shisan's eyes lit up when he heard this, and he looked towards a valley on the right with excitement. Dragons were upper-tier 8th rank magical beasts, and were even more powerful than the Silver Moon Wolf. Currently, the most powerful fighters in the Elite Academy tournament were at the peak of the 3rd level of the Marquis realm. For example, Long Sinan, the snake race woman beside Yao Kaka, and the 2 Superstone Masters beside the golden-armored bald man Gon. However, it was obvious that these powerful beings weren't a match for the upper-tier 8th rank Silver Moon Wolf, let alone a dragon. Therefore, there couldn't be too many of such powerful magical beasts in the Elite Prefecture tournament. Otherwise, it wouldn't be a 3-race battle, but a 3-race battle beast horde. Therefore, Yi Qinghan's meaning was very clear. The mighty dragon on the left side of the valley could only be the Black Dragon in the Black Dragon Valley. The valley they were in matched the geographical features of the Black Dragon Valley. Of course, this was not the most important thing. The most important thing was that Yi and the others had once stayed in this Black Dragon Valley and had been trapped here for a month. In other words, there was a safe place in this valley, and this place was on the right side of the valley, on their right. Yi Shisan naturally understood what Yi Qinghan meant and what Yi Qinghan was referring to. In his heart, he secretly admired this future hope of the family. His brain was indeed more agile than his own. At the same time, he also began to carefully investigate the right side of the valley. 13. What's the situation? Knight 17's brain was obviously not working as well. He looked at Knight 13th, whose eyes were shining in bewilderment. Then, he looked at the plain weeds and trees on the right side of the valley. Although he didn't know what Yi Qinghan and Yi Shisan knew, he could feel Yi Shisan's excitement, so he couldn't wait to ask. Yi Shisan didn't answer him. His eyes were shining as if he was admiring the naked body of a beautiful woman. He carefully scanned the valley on the right side. He didn't miss a single place, nor did he miss any suspicious places. Finally, after scanning the area 3 times, he discovered a very subtle difference. It was a boulder under an ancient tree. The boulder was surrounded by ancient vines and weeds, but there was a small trace of human activity on the side. Found it? Yi Shisan excitedly clenched his fists, then turned around, pointed at the boulder, and said to Yi 17, 17, do you see that boulder? There's a cave behind the boulder. It's absolutely safe there. Later, take young Master Han and Miss Wu and run there quickly. I'll stay behind just in case. Remember not to use your battle aura, and try to be as light as possible. Okay. Yi 17 looked at the boulder curiously, and his eyes began to light up. He had heard Yi Shisan's words for many years. Since he said there was a cave behind the boulder, there must be, and it was definitely safe there. Therefore, he didn't say much and nodded at Yi Shisan. He held Yi Qinghan with one hand and Yi Qingwu with the other. Like an ape, he began to run through the weeds. His footsteps were very relaxed, and he didn't make the slightest sound. At his level, carrying 2 people, which weighed nearly 100 kilograms, was obviously very easy, even if he didn't use any battle aura. Yi Qinghan and Yi Qingwu were carried like 2 objects. Although they were a little shy, they didn't have any objections. If they used their battle aura, they might be able to do it as easily as Yi 17. However, if they didn't use their battle aura, there would inevitably be some accidents. Therefore, being carried by Yi 17 was the best solution. Yi 13th followed behind, but his mind was completely focused on the left side of the valley. He was worried that the giant on the left side of the valley would suddenly descend and give them a random dragon breath, completely killing them here. Roar! The dragon's roar continued in the valley. It was a short journey, but the 4 of them were so scared that their backs were all wet. Only when they finally reached the bottom of the boulder and found a 2-meter-high and 1-meter-wide hole on the side did they finally breathe a sigh of relief. The 4 of them filed in and walked into the dry hole. The hole was very deep, and it twisted and extended all the way inside. Pa! Yi 13th opened the fire in his backpack and lit up the way. The four of them followed the winding path inside the cave, all the way inside. Although they didn't know what was going on at the other end of the path, at least they were now out of danger. Therefore, the four of them didn't feel as heavy as before, and their expressions also calmed down a little. After walking on the winding path for more than 10 minutes, the four of them suddenly found that the path ahead was gradually widening, and there was a faint light coming from it. The four of them were shocked and quickened their pace toward the faint light. After a while, they reached their destination. The first thing they saw was a natural cave the size of a square. Half of it was a stone wall, and the other half was a small pool. There were a few small holes on the top of the cave, through which the dazzling sunlight sprinkled mottled light into the cave. Now that they were out of danger, the four of them felt like they were about to collapse. They sat down on the ground in exhaustion. Even Yi Qingguo couldn't care less about her ladle-like image and sat down on the stone slab. Looking at the obvious traces of people living in the cave, Yi 13th sighed. At this time, he thought of Yi and the others who had died tragically. His expression was a little sad and painful. He said with some pain, this is probably where Big Brother and the others lived for a month. I'm the one who implicated everyone. I'm useless. I sigh. Chapter 108. Seeing Yi Shisan and Yi 17's desolate expressions, Yi Qinghan was in a bad mood. He lowered his head and his eyes glazed over, as if he had lost his soul. He thought about where the elites of the four clans had been teleported to and whether they would be in danger. He thought about how Yi and the others had rushed to the barbarian race team to save them. He thought about the earth-shattering self-explosion. He thought about whether the four of them could walk out of the Black Dragon cave alive. He thought about the less than 4,000 points. He thought about his sister, who was in a deep sleep in the back mountain. He fell into a very complicated situation. Maybe he was disappointed. Maybe he was helpless. Maybe he was in pain. Maybe there were more. A few months ago, he had walked out of Song City with great ambitions and a mighty team. He had thought that he could rely on his unique sacred beast and divine weapon with super healing ability to kill everyone in the prefecture battle. He had successfully obtained a large number of spiritual pills with a large number of points, returned home in glory, and saved his sister. However, before he had entered the prefecture battle island, he had heard of very cruel news on the way. The strength that he had always been proud of was actually at the bottom of the prefecture battle. Then, when he learned that Yi Tianlong had arranged 2 secret teams, he was a little relieved. On the Nether Island, Yu Qingsheng had united the 4 clans and formed a super elite team, which gave him hope again. And in the next few months, the super elite team had also successfully wiped out the monster race and barbarian race. No team was a match for them. During that time, he had been very excited and happy. He had imagined that if this continued, he would successfully obtain 10,000 points. However, the strange turn of events today had caused him to lose all hope. Not to mention whether the elites of the 4 clans could escape this time. He himself was not sure that he could escape from the Black Dragon Cave. Yi and the others were lucky enough to escape when a team accidentally broke in and took advantage of the chaos. Would they have the chance to escape? It just so happened that a small team had foolishly barged into this place. Let them take advantage of the chaos to escape? Taking a step back, even if they managed to escape, how could he face the other 3 families? Taking a step back, even if they reunited once again, how could they dare to hunt the outsiders again like they did before? If they were to encounter the same situation again, what should they do? Therefore, no matter how he thought about it, it seemed that regardless of whether he could escape or not, the chances of getting those 10,000 points were very slim. Lil Han, don't be discouraged and don't be sad. There will always be a way. It was obviously the first time that Yi Qingguo had encountered this kind of situation. She wanted to comfort Yi Qinghan, but didn't know how. She could only sigh, bite her lip, and say, Little Han, don't be discouraged. Young Master Han, we're not blaming you. Don't think too much about it. There will always be a way. Seeing this, Yi Shisan sighed again and put away the sorrow and pain on his face. The dead were already dead, and the living had to live on, right? Why can't you blame me? If not for Yi and the others, how could they have come back to participate in the mansion battle? How could they have died? Solution? What else can we do? Yi Qinghan became more and more depressed as he spoke. At this moment, he was deep in self-blame and helplessness, and he spoke in a low voice mockingly. Seeing Yi Qinghan act like this, Yi Shisan and Yi Qingwu wanted to say something, but they couldn't say anything. Instead, Yi Shisan raised his eyebrows, bulged his eyes, and scolded, "Young Master Han, it's not that I'm always lecturing you, but if you're a man, don't act like a woman. Big Brother and the others are just like us. They were orphans when they were young and were raised by the Yi family. They were taught a lot of skills, and now they've returned the favor to the Yi family. I don't think they feel touched. Big Brother said that if you don't come out, you'll have to pay for it sooner or later. If you feel that their deaths were not worth it, then you have to pull yourself together, cultivate hard, and take revenge for them. That's what a man should do. If you're so depressed, Big Brother and the others will have died in vain. Do you still want to save your sister?" Save? How? Can she still be saved? After being scolded by Yi Shisan, Yi Qinghan barely managed to raise his spirits. He raised his head and looked at Yi Shisan in a daze. Whether or not she can be saved is one thing, but if you continue like this, you'll definitely be finished. Your sister will also be finished with you. As for the methods, there are many. For example, 13, and I can break through to the Emperor realm, or you can break through to the Martial realm. With your heaven-defying fusion technique, you can instantly kill any marquee. As long as we have a chance to escape from the Black Dragon Cave, we can still obtain 10,000 points. So as long as we work hard, anything is possible. Yi Shisan's words were clearly vague and half-hearted. It could even be said that he was spouting nonsense. However, when Yi Qinghan heard these words, a glimmer of hope ignited in his heart. His dim eyes slowly lit up, and a glimmer of light appeared in them. Long Sinan was in a very bad mood. She was like the scorching sun on a hot summer day, causing people to subconsciously feel a trace of displeasure. A few days ago, she had received news that something big had happened on the disarray battlefield. It was something that made her break out in a cold sweat. The demon race and barbarian race had actually joined forces to besiege the four family squads. When he finally received the news and quickly led his team to rescue them, he found out that the four clans had successfully escaped from the teleportation array of the Silver Moon two-headed wolf. Moreover, the demon race and barbarian race had also been heavily injured by the Silver Moon two-headed wolf. However, she was still in a very bad mood. How could the demon race and barbarian race join forces? How could they join forces? How could they join forces? This was a very serious problem, very difficult to solve, and very illogical. It was just that this very illogical thing actually happened, and it happened as if it was a matter of course, righteous, and above board. This was a question worth thinking about. According to the information reported by the four family squad's elites who had been teleported to the House of Ares' stronghold on the disarray battlefield, it seemed that yesterday's encirclement and pursuit were a little inexplicable. It was as if the demon race and barbarian race had placed an invisible spy beside them, and their whereabouts were like the back of their hand. This was simply an inconceivable thing. Such a situation had never happened in the history of the Mansion Wars, and it was a problem that could not be solved. Today, Long Sinan received an even more inexplicable piece of information. A few days ago, Yao Kaka and Mangon had retreated from the Silver Moon Canyon. Today, they actually began to gather their subordinates and rush towards the same place in a majestic manner. Although the two parties were taking different routes, their final destination could be deduced. Their final destination was actually the same place, and that place was very famous and very terrifying. That place was the lair of an upper 8th tier magical beast, the Black Dragon Valley. Both of them brought at least 1,000 people, and they rushed towards the Black Dragon Valley in a majestic manner. When Long Sinan received this piece of information, her first reaction was that they were going to slay a dragon. There was a treasure in the Black Dragon Valley. However, she immediately rejected this crazy idea. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.